All I ever settled for is that we're born to live and then to die. And we got to do it alone, each in his own way. And I guess that's why we got to love the Neon Crew podcast like there's no tomorrow. Because when you get right down to it, there isn't.
Love that.
Thank you. I thought about maybe doing the soccer monologue when his buddy that works at the hotel is giving the monologue about Pele.
Yeah. Oh, Elmo.
Elmo, yes.
Yeah.
Not Cooch. Although Cooch has some pretty quotable moments in this movie, too.
Everyone does in that thing.
Everyone fucking does in this movie. Even his dad, who's a pretty chill guy by all accounts.
Yeah.
But the Pele quote was way too long, and
yes.
I didn't want to be...
You wouldn't do it justice.
I wouldn't do it justice, says the guy who attempted to do an Eminem song on this podcast, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, welcome everybody to episode 86 of the Neon Crew podcast. My name is Kyle.
I'm Mac.
We're here to talk about some movies, but first, McLean.
Bit of business.
There's a bit of business to settle.
All right.
If you recall, last episode, we discussed very passionately, I might add, it was a very exciting discussion towards the end of the episode, a bet between you and I having to do with one of the movies that we're going to be discussing here pretty soon, Kraven the Hunter. Now, do you want to explain what this bet pertained, the rules of it, the parameters of such bet?
You know, I hate being wrong about guessing how good a film's going to be. Kind of pride myself in like seeing a trailer and being like good, bad.
Right.
And
you've done this long enough to where you feel confident about your own abilities of assessing
I
movies.
will say, I think the trailer of Kraven is probably better than the movie. So I'll stick to that. I think it's still a good trailer. I didn't give Sony enough justice in how shitty they were. So the bet was that I said that the film would be over 50%. So meaning at least 1 out of every 2 people would like the film. At least think it's a decent film. If it was under 50, you get to assign me a film. Give me a film to watch that I will have to discuss. Or if it was over 50, vice versa. So
yep.
I don't feel great. I've actually been checking the score every day since its release 4 days ago.
Mm-hmm. And we're going by a critic score, just to be clear, which was weird because, and I texted you this earlier in the week, there seemed to be a day where either the website itself or Sony had the critic score taken down for Kraven the Hunter. So when you Googled it, it only showed you the audience score, but it still labeled it as RT score, which I felt was a little deceptive.
No, you can't go with the audience.
We're not going to. And
I know, but I looked up Morbius.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm like, you know what? Sometimes the audience, not to say I feel like they get it right, but like there's review bombing, and I really do feel like that's the thing. And I was really worried about this one. I was like, whatever the score is, I will know what I would have given it. Mm-hmm. So even if I lose, I can feel justified in at least my liking of the film, if that were to happen. And so review bombing is something that I was a little nervous about, like kind of like what happened with Ishtar, and I think we've talked about some other films. And but no, so I saw the audience score versus the critic, and we're going off critic, but I laughed when I saw the audience score, and then I was like, well, certainly this can't be. Maybe it was a better film than what I saw. And then I looked up Morbius, and I haven't seen Morbius, so I can't be one to say, but I from what I've heard and what I know about myself, I won't like it. And that thing has like a 71 or 68. And I was like, fuck. So, critic score it is.
Yep, critic score it is. And I'm going to read off as of 5:50 p.m.
How many reviews?
December 17th.
How many reviews?
Let me check the website itself.
115 still?
118. It jumped up to. It was at 15% before you came over.
Gone to 16.
It's gone to 14.
Shit.
It has dropped even lower. So that gulf between the bet parameters has widened even further. So it looks like I have won this bet, McLean. Yeah. I won the bet. It's below 50%. Would you look at that? Now, I had the thought experiment of what would have happened if it landed at exactly 50%? Like, who would have won. Would that have been a mulligan? Would we just have to like flip a coin at that point?
No, I would have said mulligan.
But
I would have thanked my lucky stars.
no need to worry because there is a clear outcome on this. So I get
Not
to
even fucking close.
I get to assign you a film because of this. I won't reveal it until the end of the episode.
Okay.
Along with my recommendation, and I think that I've got a good pick.
All right.
For both of them. They're a little tangential.
Nice.
In my thinking.
There we go.
One is my recommendation I think you're going to like.
Okay.
The assigned film you are absolutely not going to like.
Maybe not. We'll find out.
We'll find out unless you're a freak. Which you can look back at this moment and later in the episode and then be a little retrospective. But speaking of retrospective, we're going to look back at our thoughts on Kraven the Hunter.
Oh, God.
Now, don't worry, McLean. I get to introduce this one.
Yep.
Because you recommended Vision Quest, so you get that. So this is Kraven the Hunter. Came out this year, 2024. Directed by J.C. Chandor. Stars Aaron Taylor Johnson. And is about Kraven the Hunter. And he goes around and he hunts stuff. And that's it.
Yep.
So, I want you to take note as to how I summated that film. I put as much passion and thought into it as the filmmakers did with making this movie. Would you agree?
Oh, God. I don't know. I won't agree because there's been a lot of anxiety with this thing. J.C. Chandor, so I didn't know who he was. I looked him up. And he's had like a couple good films, and I'm not going to be able to recall if you look it up, but he's kind of teetered.
So I've seen Margin Call.
Yeah, Margin Call's great.
It's not bad. I liked it.
Yeah.
That was a fun movie, even though I couldn't understand the whole economic
There's
lingo
actually like
going on.
There's you got Margin Call, you have 99 Homes, and then you have The Big Short and Too Big to Fail.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like 3 or 4 films, at least that I know of, that do a good job kind of piecing together the different perspective of how the housing collapse affected. So like Big Short kind of shows you how it got into it. 99 Homes, how it affected the people.
The ECCU, the Economic Collapse Cinematic Universe.
Yes, yeah, and that those 4 films would be in there. That's like a great. If you ever got a weekend to kill and want to see how the housing bubble kind of happened, and a great cinematic viewpoint of it versus different angles on it. Like Too Big to Fail is kind of scary. Margin Call was great, just with how I think some people trying to exit the industry. Anyways, yeah. So he had that.
I think Triple Frontier was another one that I heard about. It's all right. Yeah, that was the only other one that I was kind of familiar with that this guy's directed.
What else? Those were the only 2.
So All Is Lost 2013.
All Is Lost is fantastic. That's where I get really pissed off. Is All Is Lost is fucking fantastic.
Mm.
It's Robert Redford on a ship, and he's out in the middle of the ocean, and his ship starts to go down.
Okay.
And that's it. And it's 100 minutes of him trying to survive while he's like it. And it's literally, I think there's like 4 lines of dialogue.
Okay.
It is so good. And then he does Margin Call, which is right. I believe Margin Call would have came after.
So Margin Call's 2011, All Is Lost is 2013.
Okay, so those are 2 really good films right off the bat.
And then A Most Violent Year 2014.
That is with Oscar Isaac, and I think I haven't seen that one. I believe he's a mayor of New York, and there's kind of some mob stuff going on.
Okay.
And then Triple Frontier.
I think so.
Yeah, and that's where you kind of. And then the next one's not great either.
The next one being Kraven the Hunter.
Oh God, I thought he was maybe assistant director. I don't know, but yes, it's yeah. So this guy's he's got some chops, and I think in this film, that's why I say not entirely. I feel like Sony came in here and fucked the shit out of this.
No,
thing.
this is not. I would not call this a J.C. Chandor movie. I would call this a Sony Studios movie.
Yes,
a Sony Pictures film.
That's there's a director's cut out there somewhere that is probably 1,000,000 times better than this thing.
I wouldn't be surprised if he just wants to wash his hands of this altogether, though. Like, let's be real. He wants to take a step back. He wants nothing to do with this.
Oh, no one's working.
It's like
with
David
Sony.
Fincher with Alien 3. He just doesn't want to like think about it anymore.
No, because someone had a gun to his head and said, "You're going to do it this way," and he's like, "This isn't my film. I was just this puppet."
Yeah. to give this a bit more of a detailed summation, Kraven the Hunter is a Spider-Man character. He's a villain in the Spider-Man universe, sort of part of the Rogues Gallery. His whole deal is, in the comics, he goes in, he wants to hunt the ultimate prey, which to him is Spider-Man for some reason.
It's a man. Man's most dangerous game, and it's a spider, so he's got...
That's true. But in this movie, there's no Spider-Man.
No.
You wouldn't even really know what's connected to the Spider-Man universe if it wasn't in association with Marvel and also included like a few other characters from the universe, but
they talked
whatever.
About him. I don't even know if they included him. They just kind of talked about him. Like they keep talking about this doctor in New York.
Right. Well, the Rhino is a Spider-Man villain.
He is, but like he didn't go ever like, oh man, that fucker out in New York's got my
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm watching this thing and I was like, well, I know the Rhino because I played a video game that he was in. That's it. Literally at me being the like a lowest form of a Spider-Man, fan.
Oh, don't sell yourself short.
It's the only thing I did the Leo thing where I'm like pointing and was when he goes, there's a doctor out in New York and he's talking about, I think, Willem Dafoe.
I thought he was talking about Morbius.
He could have been. I don't know what Morbius is. They don't
say the name of the doctor.
They literally don't attach anyone. The doctor, he said he created this serum that would make you as strong as 10 soldiers. Like he says,
right.
And that's why I was thinking Willem Dafoe because he gets injected with that but I don't know I don't remember his name and
they don't say the doctor's name. They just say like, oh, this doctor out in New York, and then they just kind of leave it at that.
Well, they say it twice because then they got the other dude at the very. We'll talk about it.
There's
Spoiler
a lot of frustrating
for
fucking Kraven the Hunter
in this thing.
Who gives a shit? We're gonna go into it.
Yeah, let's do it because this thing is.
So I've seen every single Sony Marvel movie.
Humble brag.
That it is not a humble brag.
Humble brag.
Believe me, I would much rather be like Robert Redford out at sea, stranded, than have seen these movies. All is lost. All is lost when I think about these movies. So the first Venom movie, have you seen any other of these films? Like I know you haven't seen Madam Web or Morbius.
No.
Have you seen any of the Venom movies?
I've seen one. I've seen the first one. And
the first one it is what you get. It's Tom Hardy playing Venom. He's given his Tom Hardy weird energy in that movie. But other than that, it's just like CGI goop fest.
Yeah.
And like him doing the like Venom voice like
Eddie,
I need brains. And then second Venom comes out. I feel like it's one of the most forgettable movies. I wouldn't even call it like total trash. It's just kind of whatever. Yep. They try to make Venom more funny, and in doing so, it's just a little bit dated. And then I think Morbius is the next one to come out, and that one was memed to death online because of just how poorly it was received.
Yeah.
I see the movie on Netflix, and I can't help but feel tricked by the internet into thinking that this is going to be like a Room level type funny bad, and it is just bad.
Madam Web? Or Morbius?
Oh,
yeah, okay.
So Morbius to me is just like whatever. It is like one of the more forgettable movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's just like standard issue cookie cutter superhero origin story without anything going on that makes it interesting.
Yes.
Say what you will about the MCU, at least those guys have character to them.
Well, they set them up.
And they set them up, and there's like, there's some stakes there.
Yeah.
It felt like a fresh new thing at the time, whereas this was just like totally stale. I think Madam Web comes out next. That one is easily the worst one out of all these movies.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, if Morbius is boring and forgettable, Madam Web is like incomprehensibly bad to the point where like the editing doesn't make any fucking sense in that movie.
Yeah.
And then Venom 3 came out like just a few months ago. I saw it not that long ago, and it was like, I feel the same about it as I do Venom 2. It's just whatever. Like kind of boring.
Ass in seats are these movies.
Asses in seats, kind of boring. They try to make Venom funny, whatever. This movie comes out, and it is almost the same exact feeling I have for Morbius. It is just takes itself way too seriously, just kind of boring, just really nothing interesting going on.
Yeah.
It feels like Aaron Taylor Johnson is asleep the whole time.
Yes.
It feels like every single performance, maybe with the exception of Russell Crowe in a few instances, this movie just feels asleep at the wheel.
Yeah, I am agreed. I was reading some reviews trying to dissuade my opinion on it, and a lot of people were giving like Aaron Taylor Johnson, ATJ props, and I'm like, I don't know if he
props
did
for what?
anything.
Showing up on schedule?
Like impressive? Like he didn't do anything where I was like, oh man, that guy's got charisma or he's cool. Yeah, everyone in this thing. I liked Russell Crowe. I thought the Rhino guy was trying to do something.
Rhino guy had like some interesting choices.
Yeah.
I don't know if they all quite worked.
Yeah. Well, it's hard when you just get handed a screenplay and they say you're just gonna read it verbatim.
Yeah.
And it's like, like you haven't really set anything up. I was only introduced for like all of 30 seconds. So I have this motive now that hopefully everyone remembers. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to remind you guys, just in case you didn't catch that it was me, that I was there.
Yeah.
And we're just going to play off of that. But I'm also this like really wimpy guy that's going to kind of come off brazen.
Right.
And
like I'm the nerd you underestimate, but I'm going to come back stronger than you expect.
Yeah, and I'm going to kind of have this like underlying like I'm better than you attitude going on.
Right, the superiority complex.
Yeah.
Things that,
I did like the brother.
Maybe would be compelling. Fred Heschinger.
Yeah.
Second episode in which we talk about him because he's also in Gladiator 2.
That's what as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, that's the dude. And
I think he's okay in the movie. I feel like his character just sucks.
No, they all suck.
They
what
all
are you fucking
suck.
talking about? Like that no one got any like there's no meat on this bone. They shoved so many people into this thing with like, oh, you just should know who these people are.
Yeah.
Like the one guy, the foreigner, shows up and all of a sudden he's got special abilities. And I was like, okay, like I kind of like the guy's vibe. I like his attitude. And then there's they do have a conversation with, I think, the Rhino when he shows up. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this guy's stale as shit too.
This guy's stale. Everybody's stale. This movie feels so afraid of taking any sort of risk that would give it any sort of personality.
This is the most, I told Jasmine this, I said, this is the most PGR rated film I think I've seen.
Yes.
Like
I had that same thought.
If they didn't have, like, oh my God, dude.
They take no advantage of the R rating really at all.
No, it's all for effects.
All the violence you see in this movie, you see in the trailer.
Yeah,
like,
and
all the quote good stuff that you get in this movie is like it's shit you already saw before the movie even came out.
It's just like you don't get to see splatter. Like that's it. That's the only thing that they take out is like the final, like the death blow.
Right, and even then in the movie itself, the editing makes it feel like it's just too afraid to show you what is all going on. So it like quickly cuts away before the action really kind of hits.
Like it reminded me of Deadpool versus Wolverine where they have. Like that one feels so PG-13 to me because the violence is so cartoony,
right?
And then, but the violence that you want to see between those two guys going is very gruesome, right? Mm. And then when they're killing other people, it's kind of soft, like it's not really,
they're fighting against clay people. Like they're fighting against like I think in Guardians of the Galaxy they call the aliens paper people.
Oh, dude. Yeah,
I just always have that in the back of my mind when this type of violence is talked about.
Yeah, and it's kind of it's fun and it's for effect, and in this one it's like they fucked up so bad. They're like oh my God, I was telling think about this, okay? Literally, you couldn't be more stupid as a fucking production company. You make this thing rated R. It's designed for 13 to 18, like 16-year-olds, right?
Yeah.
You've just eliminated that demographic, and now you're channeling it to the people that are of age that need a little bit more context and critical thinking and provide nothing. That's why this thing has made $11 million. Because the people that can only see it have no wishes to see it. Because there's nothing in it. And then the people that want to see it can't because it's fucking rated R.
I have a theory that I want to throw out to you.
Okay.
So this movie was supposed to come out a year ago. This thing has been in production for such a long time. It was supposed to be released before Madam Web.
I mean, I feel like I've been seeing Kraven the Hunter stuff since 2021.
And what's crazy is this is kind of my belief of what happened. I feel like their movie was going to release. And then Venom 2 comes out.
Yeah.
And then Venom 2 a big complaint that people have with those movies, justifiably, is why is Venom PG-13 when he as a character is just inherently gruesome and violent? He's disgusting to look at. He bites people's heads off.
All the
We're supposed to be getting all this like gore and viscera from this guy who this movie's being treated like a Captain America film. And
yes.
I feel like Sony looked at that and thought, shit. We have to retool Kraven to like fit what the people want, because then people will come and see this movie. So they give it the R rating to maybe hopefully get people's attention of like, well, it's a Sony film, but hey, at least it's going to be rated R.
That got my attention.
At least it's going to have like the violence that I want to see from these types of movies. And then you go and see the movie, it's like this is barely not PG-13. This is just like right on the cusp of not being PG-13. Like you put this thing through like a little bit of a filter. It's like, yeah, you could easily make this PG-13.
Oh yeah, big time, easily done and done.
It feels like they went about it in the most like lazy, unproductive way possible.
The dumbest way possible. Literally
Absolutely.
the dumbest way possible is like, we're gonna enhance some of the kills, but they don't realize it's about like the dialogue, the screenplay, what we're actually seeing. They said the F word twice. It was by the chick. It was by that chick, and she said it within 2 minutes of she said, "Where you go? Like, where the fuck are you going?" And then, yeah, your ass is grass, motherfucker. Like, it happened like within 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it was while they're out in the woods.
Right.
So that was it. You have the mob, right? You have the underbelly of Russia, Ukraine, like all these seedy European areas, right? Where they've got some like black market stuff going on. They don't dive into anything.
Right. We've got like the idea of like, oh, there's poaching happening in this environment.
Yeah.
Maybe that can be something Kraven can explore for a whole story. Nah, not really.
Well, and I don't know. I mean, it's not like you want to see an R-rated film with him capturing poachers, but like,
sure.
But they think about the
there's
grittiness.
no specificity to this film.
No, there's not.
It doesn't feel locked into one focused thing.
No, it doesn't. Well, because they have their hands everywhere, and it's like you've got a rated R film, and you're dealing with the mob. So like, the dad's supposed to be this mob boss or whatever, and he's dealing drugs. There's no one does any drugs in this thing. No. Right? There's no like, hey, we could have like heroin addicts or cocaine or something going on. You got prostitutes over here, gambling. Nothing. There's supposed to be some grittiness. I'm fumbling on some of the adjectives of this, but like the underbelly of what he is seeking out, and he's supposed to be a anti-hero in this thing, right?
So it's funny you say that, because like they've been going the anti-hero route with a lot of these guys, right? Like fucking Morbius
it's a fucking
and Venom.
Dumb idea.
Like, oh yeah, we want these guys to be like, this isn't your dad's superhero movie, but it's like these characters are inherently Spider-Man villains, and even in this movie, they had the tagline, "Villains aren't born, they're made." Kraven never feels like a fucking villain in this movie until maybe like the last 4 minutes when they try to shoehorn in the fact that like maybe I'm thinking about like my dad's teachings or whatever, and I put the coat on and I'm like, yeah, I'm a villain now. It's like, no, what?
They're like, our arc's gonna be overcoming the father, and yet he realizes the father's actually like made him. And
that feels like what the movie's trying to go for. But it just feels like a 13-year-old wrote this script and was like, but then what if he's not good though at the end? Like, wouldn't that be
he's still not bad.
Cool?
He just sits there and it's like Russell Crowe just goes, "You become me," and I'm like, as an audience member, I'm like, no, he didn't.
Yeah, he just sits there and he thinks about how like, oh, his brother told him off because he said that he's becoming like his dad, and that's like the most we ever fucking get.
The fucking dad,
and the brother's becoming the villain.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's ludicrous.
The brother came across a doctor in New York.
It's so ludicrous. Dude, God, fucking damn it. Now I'm like sitting there. As soon as you started talking about Venom, I'm like, oh, that's where they're all messing up. They want to be anti-heroes, so it's like they're gonna be Spider-Man villain. Like, okay, you've seen Venom. I'm sure Morbius falls in the exact same fucking line, and you have Kraven. Have any of them done anything where like Spider-Man's got to take him out?
The closest is at the end of spoilers for Venom, or not Venom.
No, don't do spoilers.
I was gonna say Morbius.
Yeah, hold people. I don't. Let's. there's something happens in
Okay,
Morbius.
I'll
where
dance
it's-
around it.
Yeah.
So at the end of Morbius, there's a character he meets that implies a little bit more to the world than what you had thought going into the movie.
Oh, great! At the very end
But
of
it's
the film,
it's the bare minimum. It's the bare minimum
Nice.
of what they could have done in order to tie
I'm
it together.
supposed to feel like this guy's going to be the worst person ever because at the end of everything I just seen with him saving the day, someone walks in. It's like, you're evil. It's like, gee, thanks, Mr. I Am.
And what's crazy is that you know that Sony's not going to be able to tie Tom Holland into these movies because, A, they already announced that these franchises of films are being retooled and they're putting the pause on it. Essentially, like, these run of films are done
Thank
for all intents
Christ.
and purposes. Thank Christ. And B,
They are done.
Tom Holland has a lot more control over what movies he is or isn't in when it comes to Marvel and the MCU. So he's going to look at the reception of all these films from like half a decade and go, ain't no fucking way my character's going to be a part of these shit-ass movies.
Paycheck big enough.
I mean, sure. But I feel like with them only making, what was it, $11 million over the weekend, I don't think that's going to happen.
I can't. This is so... Oh, they're just... Oh, my God. Okay.
So let's talk about...
Let's talk about the film.
Let's talk about the film itself. God, the memory of this movie already escaped me.
I was yawning. So the climax of this thing's coming, and I'm yawning. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know how long I've been sitting here.
Right, just get me out of here. I want to go get Taco Bell right now.
So tired of watching whatever I've been being fed. Like it went from like the beginning of the, oh my God.
So his mom dies because she was weak, according to his dad, played by Russell Crowe. She was weak. She was mentally ill. You are not weak.
Yeah.
We are strong. We have to go out and kill
I
a
like
lion.
Russell Crowe in this thing.
He was very goofily enthralling. Like
Compared to everyone else, he's the only one that did anything.
he's the only one who's doing anything interesting. Like
come on.
he's such a seasoned actor that he's able to give it that amount of flavor in a movie that is this fucking flavorless.
Yeah.
Like at least there's something going on with him. Whenever he was on screen, I was like, just please, can this movie be about him? Why isn't he Kraven the Hunter?
Well, why can't he do anything cool? He's like this mob boss that has done nothing.
Well, what's crazy is that like so and I'm not gonna like harp on like comic book versus movie shit or whatever.
Yeah.
But when you frame it as like, oh, this is Kraven the Hunter, and like you have him like hunting down these guys, whereas like Russell Crowe is more of like the hunter of all of them because he's the one who goes out and like kills all these animals or whatever. Make him the villain version of Kraven the Hunter, and then have Aaron Taylor Johnson's character kill him.
Yeah.
And then from there he becomes the villain because it's like, oh, I had to kill my dad, and now it's like mentally fucking me up. There's like some hardcore daddy issues going on. My mom committed suicide because my family's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like there's something there that could have easily bridged the gap between the two. And they just don't do that because they just want it to be like, oh yeah, Kraven's an anti-hero.
Shit.
It's soft as shit. So they go out, they find this lion that I guess has been killing people or something. It's like this big ass lion.
For 13 years, it's been eating people, and the guy's like, yeah, Russell Crowe says something to the guy.
And
like,
there's like some very sweaty exposition from like the rhino guy, who's not the rhino guy yet. He's just like some fucking dork. But about how like
sweaty exposition. It's like 2 lines of dialogue.
About how like the youngest son is like a bastard child, so like they don't even have the same mom. But that's never feels like a point of importance in the movie.
Never
ever.
Yeah.
If anything, like they.
But it wasn't. I don't think it was the rhino guy that said that.
No, you're probably right. It was probably like some other mob.
The rhino guy was trying to pitch him something, and it's also like, how did he get on this expedition?
Right. Like why
is he here?
Like what are you guys like using this guy for? He just seems like a typical like bumbling idiot.
Yeah.
Maybe not idiot, but just like nerd type, right?
Oh, for
Where
sure.
he's trying to like prove himself to a group of tough guys.
It's
sort of like the Atlantis thing.
I had no idea Russell Crowe was a mob boss until they were like, he's a mob boss at the bar. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I knew he's doing some nefarious shit, but like, oh, like he's got like some really big importance, you know?
And they just sit outside the tents and they're like, let me talk about my bastard son. He's the youngest one. They might not be able to hear us right now. Hopefully they're asleep. He just says this shit out loud. I'm like, how are they not hearing this? And then they go out, they find the lion, and then it kills Aaron Taylor Johnson, although he's not Aaron Taylor Johnson. He's like the boy version of him, played by Levi Miller. And meanwhile, during a trip, Calypso is with her family, and she's like the same age as him at the time. She had been given this like magic serum from like this fortune teller.
Grandma. It's her grandma. Her grandma.
Was it her grandma? I thought it was just some old lady. I thought it was just some grandma.
Dude, I was so I'm paying attention to everything that was happening because I'm like, it's gonna pay off somewhere.
Yeah.
No. She died. I never saw her again.
I never saw her again.
And I'm like, that seems redundant.
So she comes across while this boy's being attacked and dragged along or whatever. And then she like uses the serum to like bring him back to life.
After
he comes back with the abilities of like animal instincts and like all this shit.
We're watching a rated R film and they literally have a Lion King montage of him like getting special powers.
Yep. It's super awesome. Anyway, he gets the powers. He gets in a fight with his dad, runs away, lives in the woods for a while until he becomes Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yep.
And we find out that he's been going around killing these poachers, and soon it bumps up against his dad's business. Meanwhile, the Rhino's been doing his shit.
The Rhino started the Rush at the beginning of the film. He kills a Russian mob boss, and the Rhino finds out that operations have opened up, so he's gonna start settling in and take over the industry.
He's an opportunist. He like seizes upon organizations whose leaders were killed, and he like takes them over.
He's a leech.
He's more of like a vulture than he is a rhino. I don't know.
Oh yeah, it's not very. A lot of what happens is circumstantial and happenstance.
Yeah,
it's nothing like any cleverness, any sort of plotting, planning, strategy.
No, it's just basic plot structuring, which maybe could be interesting if anybody in this movie felt like they were interested in being a part of it, or the editing was good.
Make it a little dirtier. You're fucking dealing with the mob out in Russia. Like I'm watching a show right now, and I've already seen things that are more enthralling with an interrogation than anything that happened in this film.
I think it's a good segue to talk about the Rhino himself. I liked how his dialogue was entirely him explaining that he's the Rhino and that he has a condition where if he unplugs his little water pack, he just becomes the Rhino. And then he looks at you and says, "My skin becomes tough like a rhino.
Yeah.
I am called the Rhino. Did you know that I'm the Rhino? I am the Rhino." Like, this movie leaves nothing to the imagination.
No.
Even when it's like fully in front of your face still. Like, they just look at you and say, like, this is what's happening in the movie.
Just in case you're unsure. There's a lot going on.
Piss poor screenplay. And I think that his character exemplifies it the most.
Yeah. I mean,
amongst, a litany of shit that you could point to.
the whole film? Like, oh, yeah. I'd look up who wrote this thing. I was like, these people should never write again.
Who wrote this thing?
There's two guys that work together on Iron Man.
Richard Wenk, Art Markham, and Matt Holloway.
Look at the picture of Richard Wenk. Does that look like a guy that should be writing a fucking film for, the ages of 14 to 28?
I'm looking up him now. He kind of looks like he could have been a villain in this movie.
Yes. He's like in his mid-50s. He's got this fake-ass smile. And like,
I don't think he can smile. I think it hurts him to smile from these pictures.
No fucking way that you look at that guy and like he should make a film for today's audience right now about a cartoon.
Yeah, he looks like
a comic book.
He looks like someone you shouldn't bother on like a cruise line.
Yes. He's got way too much money.
Yeah.
Like he's going to connect with the audience members. This is totally geared for people his age.
Mm-hmm.
Like he wrote this thing and it's so pretentious. Like that's why I also like he should never write again.
Well, this movie takes itself way too fucking seriously.
It's it's like, I don't know if it's seriously or if it's like just in case you guys all don't know what's happening right now, we're going to lay everything out and make sure it's explained in the simplest way possible,
Right.
because we don't want any confusion.
Well,
You know?
it's simple and it's totally devoid of humor. Because, I mean, fuck, say what you will about the Venom movies, but at least Tom Hardy's doing something in them
try to
where,
have
like,
fun.
he's trying to have fun with it. It doesn't entirely land, but, like, people like those movies for a reason. They like him as the character.
Here's the thing, though, and this is where I kind of like, you have to figure out the tone of your film, because I went into this thing and I was like, I don't know how they completely F-bombed this thing.
They didn't. There was only 2 of them.
Well, Venom is they take his tone and his energy, right? And Tom Hardy brings it out on screen. So like, while it's kind of like cartoony and like, I don't know, I mean, he's an anti-hero in that thing too, and he really shouldn't be, but they're like, we're gonna lean into it with it being kind of fun and silly, right? You got this alien
absolutely.
blob coming down. This is ludicrous. Well, at least have a good time with it, right? This thing. And that's where I like when you say it taking itself too seriously, and I do agree at some points, because they looked at Kraven and they go, he's a poacher, he hunts man. Like, there's no way he's gonna have any sort of comedic relief, right? He can't step out of his own shoes. So like, okay, I get that. Like, it's gonna be hard to have a funny, silly movie with that going on, right? Tie it in somewhere else, or make the film at least a little bit more enthralling with like a lot of the aspects that are going on. If he's a hunter of man,
right,
then make him hunt the most despicable man, right?
Exactly. Make him do that. Make him be someone who has like an edge to him, because the way Aaron Taylor Johnson's playing this character, it's just like he's going through autopilot, like, oh my God, fucking Adam Sandler and Click. Like, he just clicks the remote and he's just like waddling through it. Whereas this character needs an edge. This character needs like an attitude to him where like, I'm a little bit high and mighty, but that's because I fucking love animals, and like, I'm gonna sick this swarm of ostriches on you, and you're gonna get like trampled to death. That idea is like 10 times more fun than anything that happens in this movie, because what they just have him do is he just, maybe at most the thing that you get is he runs around on all fours, and that's really it.
He has like bright, shiny eyes.
He has like a moment with like a buffalo, and then he has a moment with a wolf. But nothing else really ever happens in terms of him being in touch with nature and controlling it in a way to his advantage. They just have him be like kind of a barefoot, hyperactive John Wick, where he's just jumping around stabbing people. Like, I've seen that shit a million fucking times edited in a way better film than this. Like, have him use that to make a better characterization through his actions and like how he's written on screen. And that neither of them happened.
No, they could. I mean, they had so much jammed into this thing. It's not an origin story movie. It's also not like a movie that was set up from an origin story. Like I told Jazz, I go, this is like if you had like Captain America and then Captain America, the Winter Soldier, or whatever the second one was. Mm-hmm. This is a movie that happens in between. Like, we didn't have either of these two come out, so we're going to combine them.
Right.
And then we'll just kind of give you whatever we can give you out of that. Mm-hmm. And it just, skip the fucking hunting scene with Russell Crowe and the lion, right? Or figure out a way to get the prison scene somewhere else down the road. Like, that prison scene.
I forgot that that's how this movie opened.
Yeah,
was that prison scene. I totally just blanked it out of my mind.
And it's not a bad scene. Like it sets up tension and it leaves a little mystery. Like, obviously, you know, it's Kraven from all of the stuff. But
I was kind of like a little on board with the audacity of them starting the movie like that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh shit, like we're starting with him already being in Kraven mode.
We're diving into it. Like, we're going into it right now. Maybe we'll like, and that's where I told you I saw Deadpool. Deadpool does a decent job with opening up already as Deadpool, right? And then we get fed the backstory through some of his narration, breaking the fourth wall. And this isn't spoiling anything in Deadpool if you haven't seen it. It's the whole movie. You know, but like they feed you bits and pieces as we go along.
Yeah.
Give me that. Mm-hmm. I'm fine. Like, if we go through and you want to hunt down, and then you can take out some of the shit that's going on. They were like, we're going to open up and it's going to be cold, dark, mysterious, and you're going to have a lot of questions, but don't worry. will explain everything, guys. We're going to take you down this really weird CGI Spider-Man type deal, and you're going to meet Calypso, and you're going to meet the Rhino, and we'll have you meet everyone, and don't worry, we'll make sure that once we get kind of going, you'll know where we're at. Because this is going to be way too confusing for some of you.
Yeah.
And it's really not. It's really not. It's just a whole bunch of shit just piled into here with characters that have no sort of arc, development whatsoever. I'm pretty sure you could say everyone's pretty one note. Even Kraven.
Yeah. It's fucking especially Kraven. Right? One of my bigger things, too, was the brother. So that made no sense at all to me. They have like barely any relationship that you like get a good sense of like, oh, I don't care about these guys. Like I don't really care about like his relationship with his brother all that much.
It never felt,
but it's the most consistent through line the movie has.
That's what I was gonna say. I kind of, not to say I give it a pass. It's not like it's great. It's weak, but at least that was like they attempted.
But my thing with it is, so his little brother is around his dad for all of this.
Yeah.
He's like privy to like all of his mob dealings, but the little brother is also displayed as someone who, you know, the father views him as like weak. He views him as someone who like, oh, all he does is like play piano, and when shit goes down, he's a coward.
One note.
He's one note. Whereas the end of this movie presents him like a year after everything has gone on as like, I'm a hardened criminal now, and I am taking over, but you're more like our dad than I am. Blah, yes. Blah, blah. It's like, where the fuck did this shit come from?
Dude, I think like when the guy was writing it, he's like, okay, we're not really, we haven't really attached anything together. We don't have a great climax. We don't even show like him killing his dad. We gotta get some sentiment going on with like some of the tension that was there before. We'll just kind of end it on a little cliffhanger, and we can tie in the dad to Kraven, and maybe we'll be able to make Kraven bad. Like,
right. And it's like
awful. It's awful.
It's awful. It's unearned, and it left me scratching my head of like, this is how they're gonna end this thing with like a weird fucking chameleon teaser.
I can't. Yeah, talk about and like, hey, boy, howdy, we got the next villain.
Also, he says a very similar thing that the Rhino does, because the Rhino says something like, "I'm tough like a rhino."
Yeah.
I think he says something like, "Look, I can become anyone, like a chameleon." And then he winks at the camera and jerks off like right in front of us.
Yeah, just like end of Megalopolis.
Megalopolis.
The dad calls him a chameleon at one point.
Yes.
And when he's up there, he's he's Tony Bennett. He can sing anything.
Yeah, because he's a great impersonation.
Yeah,
man, impressionist. That's the word for it.
And it's like we got all these Spider-Man villain that we can pick out. Like, who's the toughest one next? The chameleon. Yes. God damn it, that's awesome.
And when he like changed into his chameleon face, it just looked awful.
It reminded me of Annihilation.
With how uncanny and unsettling it was.
It was just
from a visual effects standpoint.
Someone's like, can we storyboard like him kind of getting into this like, whatever, bland, like he's got to be nothing, right? It's like, oh yeah, we'll just do like how you etch out a face at the beginning.
Yeah.
With the line through and the line across, and and then he can turn into whatever he wants. It's like, perfect.
Right. This is how you draw a chameleon. Draw a circle, and then draw the rest of the fucking chameleon.
All right, where's he at? It's like, that's it. That's him.
Yeah. You didn't, this design looks a little unfinished here, Ernest. You maybe want to run this through the pages again?
He kind of looks like a mannequin just kind of going through the stages like, bingo, that's it, sir.
Sir, we can't send this movie out. The shot on the chameleon is unfinished with the special effects. Fuck it, send it anyway. People won't care.
No, they won't. They'll actually revolt.
This movie's rated R. They're going to eat it up.
They're going to love it.
They're going to love it. Russell Crowe, forget about it.
So, in my defense, because after I saw this thing, I was like, I'm going to, I'll give it its fair share. And, the trailer, the edge, like you said, I like some of the edge, the grittiness, some of the these like a little bit the nastier side of life, like that they could have totally hopped into,
right?
Especially
make this
when
fucking dirty, make this grimy.
He's like a bounty hunter, he's a poacher, he
lives in the woods, he doesn't take a shower.
Yeah, for Christ's sakes, like. Don't get me started on that too. He's got a cell phone out there and technology. Like he's got like I'm like, who is this guy?
That's my big fucking issue with this. He never felt like a proper like hunter in the sense of like, yeah, I'm out in the woods doing like the most dirty shit possible. Like I am an animal. I shouldn't be someone you could be able to talk to. Like
yeah, to some extent. I know what you're saying. Like
sure.
It's you don't want to have that.
I'm begging this movie for something.
Yeah, I was about to say because now we're diving into like room aspects.
Yes.
Not the the other one with the kid. It's like he's got a cell phone. He's like he is at points of this film traveling from country to country, and I'm like, where does he get his money from? He doesn't have a job. He lives out in the woods, technically off his own means.
And I'm assuming that because he had a bad relationship with his dad that he's not using his money.
Well, and I don't know how the dad would get him money because if he knew where he lived, he'd go and pick him up.
Right.
Like it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, where did he get how did he come up with his own like little side panels of weapons off the button? Like where's the electricity coming from?
He's got some like I was hoping for like more like whittled sticks and like fucking wooden spikes and shit for his weapon arsenal. Like really rustic looking stuff. But instead it's like, oh yeah, I got like this fucking state of the art crossbow from Dick's Sporting Goods. He's got
the chick's holding the bow and I'm like, oh man, they got to have that power thing on there to like help her, like with the tension. Like they have like an assister on there, so if you're not as strong, you still pull it back and it could deliver the force. And then it's like, where did he get that? He didn't craft it.
No,
like is this part of like the people that he hunts? He gets trophies, and then like what?
Did he carve
all these like?
Did he carve the Yamaha logo into it? Like what's going on here?
It's. Yeah.
Also, the way that they handle Ariana DeBose in this movie is very trite, very played out. She's like the main female lead who like barely has anything to do, but when she does do something, they want it to have some sort of weight where they give her a line where she says, "There's more to me than meets the eye," or whatever the fuck she says.
I don't know.
I almost expected her to say like, "Yeah, I grew up with 9 brothers, so I had to learn how to shoot a bow," or whatever the fuck bullshit they had her do.
No, she went to camp.
She went
to archery camp.
She went to archery camp. That's right, and she's able to perfectly shoot Christopher Abbott right in the head.
Yeah, just completely. It's like, oh, that paid off.
Right, without him being able to see.
Yeah, they really good thing that they practice those. Fucking shooting ranges.
Between her being able to like see into the future and like have the serum.
She doesn't.
But she doesn't.
She like they kind of like. She's got mythical powers, but she doesn't because her dead grandma gave her the serum
she's got like
and showed her one time how to read tarot cards.
Right, between like her gaining the ability to like reach into spirit, like supernatural potential, and like her helping Kraven, she carved out time to go to archery camp.
Yeah, dude. Oh my god. And then I've
and also she's a lawyer.
I started out from here, and now I've made it to the biggest law firm in the world, and I'm like, then why are you helping him out? Like
they should have made her like a fucking circus freak or something.
No,
like,
make her like a not to say like, okay, don't have her in the biggest law firm in the world. Have her just in some law firm and she's forced to protect like mob bosses and stuff like that. But honestly, she knows that like her only way to become a prosecutor is to do it. So there's some confliction with what she's doing, which makes it like totally, yes, like I agree with you. You can't work at the biggest law firm in the world.
Make her a more muddied character, yeah.
Oh, shocking. Like, anyone in this thing could be dirty. Even the fucking, like you said, the guy living out in the woods that has to eat. I don't even know if he can kill an animal and eat it. He eats a fish.
He eats a fish.
That's like the closest we get, right?
Yeah.
And then it's a perfectly filleted fucking piece. Like, he had that thing. I was like, that looks like what I cut out when I make salmon on Mondays.
Right, yeah.
Like that little fillet that he got. I was like, he did that all in 2 seconds. And he's talking to his brother. Oh, my God. This scene was aggravating. It was really frustrating to watch.
So the final twist of this movie is Russell Crowe is the one who sent the video footage to the Rhino so that the Rhino would attack Kraven and then Kraven would kill the Rhino and his boys.
Yeah, he wanted to use him as the ultimate, like, hey, I can't take him out, but you can.
But so then the Rhino kidnaps Fred Heschinger. He kidnaps Dimitri, I think
accidentally.
accidentally kidnaps him.
Well, he said that you guys were both supposed to be there, but when we go up, there's only one of you. What happened to your brother? I don't know.
Oh, that's right.
He's gone out the room.
He had this like really sweaty excuse to like leave the apartment building where he's like, I gotta have my bare feet on grass.
Sweaty excuse. It was he couldn't deal with the noises because every once in a while his like primitive fucking animal sensory kind of comes into play. Like,
sure,
we're not going to use his eyes unless
Right.
he has to see that Turkish cigarette, and he can't really hear things off in the distance unless it's to go to bed.
right.
Like, just whenever
So
we
then
want to
he-
kind of use his powers.
He leaves the apartment. They kidnap Fred Heshinger. They're like, oh, we're going to draw Kraven in.
Yeah.
We're going to kill this motherfucker.
Yeah.
And then they like threaten to kill Fred Heshinger, but they never do. Like, they have so many opportunities to do it, and it's just they don't. But they're trying to use him as leverage for Russell Crowe to pay a ransom,
which they know he won't pay. I think
which they know he won't pay.
They're using. He's essentially Dimitri's the bait in all this, right? Like
Right.
it's like Russell Crowe's using the whole thing as a way to get Kraven to kill the Rhino. The Rhino's using Dimitri to get Kraven. Kraven doesn't know that he's being played the whole time, and yeah, I mean,
So then it really doesn't make sense why the brother at the end is pissed at him for killing Russell Crowe, because at that point he had to have known that Russell Crowe wasn't giving him ransom money,
I think
right?
what they were trying to play out was that Dimitri, his whole life has been stepped over,
Yeah.
and that this is his first chance to take hold of something, you know. And under Russell Crowe, I mean, he's kind of maybe he wanted to be what Kraven was in his eyes and never developed, and so now it's his chance to take it over. And he's not going to let anyone get in his way because he's been power thirsty, and finally he has the world at his hands. And now he's going to be more stronger than Kraven. And it's kind of like,
sure, the idea of like, oh, I've been stepped over,
Yeah.
but now is my chance to
But, you know,
prove myself.
maybe when you're writing the film and all this is happening, hint at that. Maybe just say, hey, I'm kind of upset.
But Mac, I thought that him impersonating Russell Crowe was enough.
No,
Doing his
yeah.
funny little Russian voice.
I thought the whole time the guy was just like, he was like, just, you know, hey, I'm going to, like, we've got an anti-hero here, and maybe you guys don't buy the whole killing the bad guys for justice vibe, but at least he's a protector of his brother, you know?
Right.
And that's the whole idea. And so we're just going to have this guy in here just to make sure that he's sympathetic, because even if it's all evil that he's doing and he's this goddamn villain, he cares about his brother. You know, and so the whole time I was like, oh, this guy's just a plot device.
Oh,
you know?
hardcore.
And then I flipped it at the end and made him into the most fucking, you know, the
Sympathetic.
not sympathetic. I'm like, he's gonna be a chameleon. Like, if you talked about someone that's a villain, the last animal that you're going to is the fucking Aquaman gets more pull than the chameleon does. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, what's he gonna do? Fucking
this-
turn into someone else?
This was all teed up for like a very, very, very lackluster, piss poor attempt at a reveal.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a reveal. He goes to New York at the end of the thing. Like, he didn't have these powers. It was just kind of like he can do these things. Then he went to New York, saw the doctor.
Saw the doctor, this
Whatever-
mysterious doctor man.
I don't know enough about Spider-Man. Like, the lizard guy was a doctor, maybe, like, because Spider-Man is always fighting doctors,
Right.
And, you know, like,
He's always fighting well-educated men.
yeah, you know what I'm saying, that always like weird powers, and he's like, I came back and now I'm the chameleon, and it just. Yeah.
Well, he's going to go get his doctorate, and then once he becomes a doctor, he'll be a proper Spider-Man villain.
And then Tom Holland can come in. He's like, I'm not fighting anyone unless he's got a PhD in something.
I'm not fighting anyone unless you give me $500 million.
Who
then
wants,
I'll be in your
and,
movie.
you know, like, they set up this, like, not everyone's born evil or whatever. Like, you watch this thing, are you like, God, I hope Spider-Man comes in and kicks Kraven's ass?
No, because the whole fucking time they're not framing him as a villain.
Like, I got to the end of this thing and I'm like, I really don't want to see those guys fight. Like,
Right.
I understand what he's doing. I don't know, like, you have the law there for that, but also it doesn't seem that bad with everything else going on.
How about that shoehorned ass scene where he's like terrified of spiders?
Oh my god, right? And
Never fucking hinted at throughout the whole movie. It just comes and goes. It's there once and then it's done.
They show the mom. They show the mom and she's like, the spiders.
They show the mom,
oh my god.
but she only says the spiders during that scene.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it's all fucking just. Yes.
Like,
yeah.
what fucking intern went in and was like, oh, this is gonna have
Everyone
some more
did.
Spider-Man in it. And so then he, like, inserted his own fucking dubbing and shit in
15 more credits for the writing in this thing. I don't know how Mr. Sony, like, was just like, fucking make it.
there. I would like to speak to Mr. Sony,
oh my
please.
God.
We call him Pictures around here.
You can never give a production company props ever. Either they make good films or they don't. And this thing is going to lose so much money. I will be shocked if it gets over $100 million worldwide. It's at 26 worldwide right now.
Yes.
And I think like within the box, like the opening week, you have to recover at least 50% of whatever you've tied in.
Like if your movie doesn't make 50% of its budget in the first weekend, you're fucked.
Yeah, like I have to imagine that's what like the rule is. I don't really know, but I would almost guarantee it, unless there's a cult following of this where the people are, we got to get it when it comes on the shelves.
Yeah.
You know, like
They gotta rip this off here,
dude. Oh my god, this would be a great toy to get pressing because it's gonna be like it'd be like $3 to get an action figure.
Oh yeah, probably a chameleon figure.
No, definitely not that. How you know, like we're gonna make this guy really fucking wimpy, and you know what? Instead of turning him into like this really like manly machismo guy, let's just make him the chameleon. And it's like, well, does he have strength? No. Funny that you should mention that, but. He can talk his way out of anything because he could impersonate the person that other person cares about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's right. Can't wait for the sequel that will never happen. You didn't stick around for like a post-credit scene, right?
No,
because I didn't, and I was wondering if there was one, and I'm looking now, and there wasn't. So I'm glad I didn't waste my fucking time because I know people in my theater definitely stuck around.
Oh, there's so I went and saw this at 10 a.m. and was kind of like shocked, maybe appalled that there was other people in the movie theater with me.
Offended at their presence.
Well, it's more so of like,
why are you here?
I'm seeing this for a goddamn podcast. What the fuck are you guys doing? You know, like, why are you here? Why are you donating your money?
It's like, hey guys, Y2K is like right over there.
Oh no, I want to.
There's a theater that's like not that far away.
That's. I think they got it added to the watch list.
We almost saw it one day. We went out for Gideon's birthday. Side tangent.
Oh yeah,
it was Gideon's birthday recently
I
and Lauren's
saw
birthday.
That.
So happy birthday to the two of them.
Yes,
they do our. Gideon does our music and Lauren does our artwork.
Happy birthday, Gideon
and Lauren.
Gideon and Lauren. It's your birthday.
Happy birthday.
It's The Simpsons.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, guys.
Yes.
Anyway,
happy birthday.
I'm glad that we worked that into our Kraven discussion. Something positive.
Yeah, something good to talk about.
Something good to talk about in this sea of bullshit.
But there was an old guy with his either grandson or I don't think it was son. The age discrepancy was a little bit of maybe uncle nephew type deal. I don't know.
Okay.
And they sat around, and so I was on my phone because this thing ended, and me being biased, like, was like, I need to do something positive about this thing because I stake my reputation on this film being decent. A 50%, which I don't think is hard to accomplish. I really don't. And I was like, I'm on my phone, like reading reviews and stuff, and it's just like all one-liners. And I look up, and they're still sitting there, and I was like, you know, these guys got the feeling like they looked up that there was end credits or something. So maybe there is. And then I like watch another, 15 seconds. I go, I don't really fucking care. I really don't. Yeah. There's nothing that would pop up that would make me be like, oh, what?
Right.
No way.
Oh my God. Fucking Chameleon's going to return.
No. He's impersonating Russell Crowe.
Oh,
sweet.
My son. You will suck my cock.
And you know, and I kind like there, and so JC Chandler, I feel bad that he had to make this thing because there's like glimpses of decent directing in this thing. Like there are some fun scenes that happen, not very long, I should say.
Not very long.
But you know, like there are instances, like I will say the so maybe like positives of this thing. The Russian prison scene is fun. It's I think a really fun way to open a movie that they completely just fumbled. Some chick coming up to you and saying, hey, like we should go out to dinner. And we have, you ever see Arrested Development?
No.
There's a great scene where Jason Bateman, there's this like chick that works at the gym with him. She works out and he's trying to always work up the courage to say something. So she always approaches him and he always drops, he's like chewing gum and he'll spit it out like when he can't like think of something to say. And it like progressively gets more so into like leading on, but that's what this was. Like it is literally, oh, okay, like sweet. I'm very excited to see where this goes. And then that.
Yeah.
The poaching scene when he goes up to find the poachers.
Yeah.
Like that was a fun scene.
The very first one?
Not the first one. No, that scene sucked. That was awful.
You're talking about the one that's featured in the trailer. Like
yes.
when they're in the car and like trying to drive away.
Yeah. Like that one I was like, all right. Like, because it keeps adding on to like, what's he doing? But don't worry, like we'll show you 2 scenes later. Not even 2 scenes later. A scene later. What he's out there for.
Right. Yeah.
And then
yeah, that wasn't terrible, but again, a lot of these scenes are scenes that I've seen like a million times for trailers.
Yeah, because they're like whoever was like, we've got to market
That's
this.
like what parts are we gonna show?
We'll just take the best parts, I guess.
We'll just show all the action scenes.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Yeah, that was another thing that people are really ragging on. There's like, that's the one thing I don't get with some action movies. Are always like, there's not enough action in it. It's like, well, too much action muddies it down. Why don't we all just say what we all know and that the screenplay sucks and there's no character development? Mm-hmm. That's always a good one, because if you had some decent characters, I can stomach not a lot happening. Mm-hmm. Some like Tarantino movies have that going on.
Yeah.
A lot, Not in this. No, that's yeah.
So I think we're barreling towards the end of this. There's one more thing I want to bring up and then we can wrap up. A very video game-ass way that he defeats the Rhino. Because he's got the armored skin, and he's like, I'm the Rhino, you can't penetrate me. Except for this one little hole in my side where I have the tube that prevents me from being the Rhino, and I took it out. So now the hole is there, and if you stab that hole, you'll kill me, but don't stab me there.
Yeah.
You stabbed me there, I am dying.
Yeah.
Very, very fucking lame. It's just,
what do you expect out of this thing? He's got it.
I mean, at that point, I was expecting it to end soon, so that was my only expectation.
Yeah, we are getting close. I have to get this off because I've been so pissed for the last 48 hours having seen this thing, and these are movies I avoid. So like that I had to spend money to watch this really pisses me off. The Foreigner gets set up. Right, and it's kind of like, once again, cool introduction. Right, they get into the thing. He's all of a sudden he's there, and then he does the 1, 2, 3, and and it's like, oh, okay, like this guy, that's his thing. He gets the hunt, and then he goes to the prison or whatever, the fortress. Oh, by the way, him and Kraven and some guy jump out of him. Both survive that fucking 900-foot fall, and then rocks are tumbling down, and he still gets out of it. I'm like, he doesn't have superpower. When did the strength of a lion? When could that thing take on a avalanche of rocks?
Right.
Exactly. Like I've never seen that come out. And then they give him some like really horrible backstory in all of 20 seconds, where he's like, he killed my predecessor. Or he's not Russian. He's British. Can't do that. He killed his predecessor. So he's like, I gotta kill him now. And then he does the serum thing that's supposed to leave you paralyzed and give you like the. This thing just fucking keeps coming back. I just remember bits and pieces. So like, I got the fucking serum and it's gonna dart them, and then they come out with their worst fears, and then it's paralysis through asphyxiation.
That's where the spider vision comes from, right?
Yeah. And the most serious death. Oh, I love it. And I'm like, okay, like I guess that's happening. He's gonna get hit with that, and then the fucking bow and arrow, and that guy's gone.
Yeah.
No, he just comes up, goes about, supposed to be this, fucking monstrosity of a mystery, can escape anything, yet an arrow grabs him. And then she's like, eat shit, motherfucker. That's the second time she says it. And then, so that lame as shit with that. And then the when I knew this was going to be bad, and it's really unfortunate, he escapes a prison, right?
Yeah.
Gets on the plane. For no reason, takes off his shirt. And I'm like, he does that, and I'm like,
that is just for the women in the audience.
Yeah.
Like the thirsty viewers who want to see his hot rockin' bod, which he's pretty built in this movie. I won't lie.
I always wonder like how guys get like 12, like just how you could have that many abs.
I'll give you a
on.
hint. They're very dehydrated.
Yeah, like I guess so. Because, back in the day, it used to be like a 6-pack. You had the 6-pack right there. Boom, boom, boom. Now some of these guys got like 14 fucking muscles popping out of there. And it's unfortunate for the rest of us that don't exercise. Like, what the fuck do we have to subject to that? Because I didn't even know those muscles existed. Right? So he does it for no reason. He sits down, and then whoever he hires, because he's got money from God knows where, he kills the poachers and probably steals it from them. And they don't dive into that because that'd make him like really bad. She goes, "How did it go?" And he goes, "How it always goes. Good for me, bad for them." And I'm like, there's no fucking way that guy was like, this is good writing.
That's what Aaron Taylor Johnson said when he accepted the check for this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Good for me, bad for them.
Oh, my God.
Them being the viewers.
So true. I hope he comes out with an indie film or something so I could go, there it is. He did a 1-for-1. He did a 1-for-1.
He's going to be in Nosferatu coming out this Christmas.
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
He's not super in the marketing, but he's billed in it. So he's going to be a part of that.
I wonder if he's a vampire hunter.
Maybe. I'm excited to see that. He's in talks to be James Bond, I think, which...
Probably right up his alley
who
after
knows
seeing
what
that shit.
Yeah, who knows what that progress is. What's really frustrating, and this can be the last thing,
okay,
is that
deal.
I know that he's a competent actor. I know that he's someone who has talent. Yeah. Obviously, he was one of my favorite parts alongside Brian Tyree Henry of Bullet Train. I thought he was good in that movie. I know he's got the ability to be a decent actor, and then this fucking movie comes out. It's like, yeesh, brother. You are asleep at the wheel.
Don't let it fool you, man. Don't let it fool you. If these guys have to go through all these scheduling conflicts, like they have to go through rewrites, this production's been going on for a year. If you have to be passionate, at least somewhat, right, in this thing, or a professional. Mm-hmm. Like Defoe is in this thing, and I bet you Defoe delivers for us.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and those guys are like 1 in a million. I feel like that are like. Doesn't matter. If I accept it, I'm going to do everything I can to make it good.
Russell Crowe, case in point.
Yeah, like he
did what he could.
He did what he could. It's like, well, it's kind of hard. You're going to have this really weird Russian accent and be a mob boss, but we're not going to tie you to anything. And like, even the most competent of actors that have, that are charismatic, right, and have had performed in different roles, or not just like one note in the movies that they're in, can come out and deliver duds. Mm-hmm. But it's also, it goes to show, like me and Sam talked about it. If a actor or actress poorly acts in a movie, whose fault is it? Do you blame the director? And I said, I'm like 100%. 100%. Like that, it's their job to bring out the performance in the character, right? And you didn't get no one in this thing. But so that's like when movies like this happen. I don't want to blame J.C. Chandor because I bet you he had fucking 8 producers on the set everywhere he went, up his ass, telling him what people are going to like. And Sony, because they're fucking geniuses, have their fucking hands right on the pinpoint of what everyone wants. And they don't. They suck. It's over. Review bombing, give it to them. They fucking should never make a movie ever again. Ever. This is, everyone says the death of Sony, and I'm so counterculture. I'm like, no, you guys, fuck you. They're coming back. No, I agree with them. I hate to say it. I agree with them. This needs to be it. They need to be done and give it to people that actually like making films. Because I think we could both agree, there is so much meat on the bone to this film that they just plucked and let dry out and get moldy somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like, bare boned the thing and just threw it at us. And it's unfortunate because I really feel like this could have been a fun, dirty, rated R, gritty film, and you can get a sympathetic villain. Go that route.
Right.
instead of doing, and I hope I'm not confusing the two, but an anti-hero. And it's not even it's an A hero. Because anti, at least the guy has defaults or flaws, right?
This, yeah, definitely felt like the Sony execs were John Travolta in Battlefield Earth giving us rats because they think we like rats for lunch.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is a good place to end this discussion on Kraven the Hunter. What would you rate this movie?
I'm going down. Sorry, I didn't realize how mad I was at this thing. I'm giving it a 4 out of 10.
Oh shit!
Yeah, this is a 4 out of 10. There's nothing redeemable about this thing. The couple scenes that I listed that were well directed, it's not like you can't see in anything else, Mm-hmm. So there's nothing. Literally, the only reason this gets a 4 out of 10 because it's a film, and I didn't think a lot of people were harping on the CGI. I was like, I didn't think it was awful, There's a couple cool things in it. Sounds all right, but yeah, this is the most bland. This is a PG rated R film. It really is. There's nothing. You could take out a couple deaths in this thing, and this barely take out the 2 F-bombs and a couple deaths. This thing barely clips PG-13.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, this was really fucking boring, uninteresting.
Yeah.
Really afraid to get into the minutia of what might make this character interesting. Aaron Taylor Johnson and honestly most of the cast, with the exception of Russell Crowe, just feel like they're dragging along. Mostly like what you said about Sony executive influence, because this really doesn't feel like a JC Candor movie. This feels like a Sony movie. To tie it all together, this is a 2 out of 10.
Yeah,
for me. This is just a big old stinky wet fart. Honestly, like, I don't even know how I would rank it compared to Morbius. I feel the exact same way about this movie as I do Morbius.
That's why I didn't see Morbius. Like, if you God's honest truth, like, that's why I didn't see it. And I'm really...
I'll tell you this right now. It'll live better in your mind as a meme. That is it. And even then, it's like you're scraping enjoyment of it from the bare minimum of what you could do.
So, like... Yes, the meme satisfaction, like, at least there's like it's cartoony enough. This thing isn't even cartoony enough. Like, that's the other issue with it. Like, when you say it took itself so seriously, it's not cartoony and it's not action packed.
No,
it's one of the guys wrote Uncharted. One of the writers wrote Uncharted, and I remember that was one of the films that you saw 2023 that you were like worst films of the year.
It was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad. Not as bad as this.
Okay.
But it's still not good.
Does it compare, like, the writing kind of feel the same? Because I imagine after seeing this, I'm like, oh, I don't need to see Uncharted because if I get more of this and that.
Uncharted doesn't feel as afraid to be, like, silly.
Oh, there we go.
I wouldn't even say it's funny. It's just kind of like... It's based on a video game. It's got a little bit of the video game goofiness to it.
Yeah.
And that's like the most positive I can say about Uncharted. Because otherwise, it's just kind of dog shit. It's whatever.
These guys get paid money to like continue to do this.
Yeah.
Like, they're the ones that are going to fucking not make money because this thing grosses $50 million when it's all said and done. Like, they got paid.
They get paid, and they get paid to write these because I'm guessing they're probably not going to push back against studios very much. You hire people like this, they fall in line with what the studio wants. They're malleable, they're agreeable, and you just don't want any difficulty with something like this because difficulty means passion, and passion means a movie that we want to see. So
yeah, it's got a chance to be bad. Well, sir, we know this will be bad. Exactly.
Don't challenge me on this. Yeah.
There's no chance of it being good. Everyone's going to know what they get. That's the beauty of it.
People will like it if they know it's shit, right?
Yeah. Dude, what if everyone... And we're done with this. I'm just thinking more about Sony now. Like, everyone, whatever, that's a movie department. Everyone in there is like that guy in Caroline that's just sitting at his desk, like, hitting the keyboard. everyone in there feels the exact same way. They all want to be done, but like Mr. Sony, the CEO or whatever, is like, no, we're still making movies. I get a kick out of them. And everyone's like, we can't keep doing this. Let's just keep making them more and more shitty. At some point, they'll lose enough money to can us.
Right.
It's like, like we've got to get out of this death trap. Like, what if that's their angle?
It's like Jeffrey Wright in American Fiction. Keeps trying to make this book shittier, and then people are like, "We love it."
Yeah, exactly. Like,
keep going.
The guy at the top's like, "They're getting better and better." Sir, you're losing money. Yeah, but I still get more enjoyment.
Yeah. Boy, oh boy, I just think they're neat.
Oh God.
Speaking of neat, you know what I thought was kind of neat? Matthew Modine in this little film that you recommended called Vision Quest, or as known in the United Kingdom and Australia, Crazy for You.
Yes.
So you recommended this film. Take it away.
All right. Vision Quest. 1985's Vision Quest. Directed by Harold Becker. Written by, based on a novel. That's not shocking. Terry Davis novel and a Daryl Poniscan, we'll say that's right, screenplay. I wonder if this thing, I don't think it got nominated for anything. This is we'll get into it.
No nominations.
Oh, it's unfortunate.
It's a pretty small movie, all things considered.
Yeah, they got Madonna in here, but anyways, we'll get into more of the ops in just a second.
Right.
Starring Matthew Modine as Loudon Swain, your boy.
One of the best names of all cinema.
Two of them in here, dude. Linda Fiorentino as Carla, making her screen debut. She just got out of freaking acting class. This is her, and they gave her the...
Yeah, this was her first project.
Yeah, which props to you. Michael Scoffling as Cooch. Ronnie Cox as Loudon's dad. I got Harold Sylvester as Mr. Tanneran.
Mm-hmm.
And then where's he at? Frank Jasper is Shoot. Also Elmo in this. J.C. Quinn played Elmo. I liked Elmo. So
we stan Elmo.
What's that?
We stan Elmo.
Yeah, for sure. He represents a giant populace. It opens up. It's got a great quote that it opens up with. Matthew Modine kind of, saying, "I just turned 18, and I've looked at my life and realized, like, what have I done? Where am I going? So I decided this year I'm going to leave my mark. I'm going to take on Shoot and win district or whatever, And he says that's the goal for the year, and it doesn't really reference a Vision Quest or anything. He just it opens up with that, and then we get Matthew Modine. I believe he's kind of training if he wakes up or he's running or he's going to practice.
Mm-hmm.
And right away we just get thrust into wrestling world, and he's at 192 pounds or the 190 pound weight class, and coach says if you want to wrestle in this weight class, you have to take out our top competitor. And if you take him, you'll be number one, and you'll wrestle, and then he'll go down to number two. So he says, I'm going to drop to 178, coach. And the guy says, okay. And then, Cooch is the guy at 178. And immediately they get into wrestling, grappling. Loudon takes him down. Cooch has some respect. He's very pissed off because I think Loudon's the guy on the mat, And Cooch gets pretty pissed off. And then all of a sudden we hop into the hotel, and essentially we're just going through the day-to-day life of Loudon, as he's preparing to take down Shoot, who we get to learn more about as the film goes on, which is a very well way of doing it. And all of a sudden, a little Carla gets introduced as she bought a lemon, and something happened. And now Loudon's kind of faced with all these different feelings and emotions, as an 18-year-old boy would, about where life's taking him. So on to Vision Quest we go.
Maybe one of the horniest main characters that we've talked about. And we've talked about some horny motherfuckers on this podcast. We got Michael Fassbender from Shame. We got
Fassbender. Wow.
We got
He's got a disease.
We got JGL from Don John. And now we have...
He claimed he had a disease.
That's true. I love pussy. Don't get me wrong. Porn it is. And then you've got Matthew Modine, Loudon Swain in this movie. Who is so horned up that he is willing to study the clitoris and write a report about it in the school newspaper.
Yeah. This movie's progressive, I think, for its time.
Quite so.
And I don't, we talk about it being horny, but it's mostly posed in a light of just general curiosity that, you have when you're a young man.
Like, there's not many moments in this movie where he feels fiendish.
No.
Maybe, like, the only time is when he's trying to, make out with her on the bed and she's not wanting it. But that's, like, the only time, really, that
I'd say the fiendish one would
kind of
more
being
so
a
when
creep.
he's sniffing her underwear.
That is a little fiendish.
Like his emotion, like his testosterone and everything going on took over in that moment. And
I love how it wasn't like he checked his surroundings and made sure the coast was clear. Like, he dug his nose in and he took a hard whiff that lasted about like 6 or 7 seconds. Enough time for her to not only walk up to him and see him do it, but to stand there and stare at him until he was done.
Yeah, until he opened his eyes.
And
then he's got to come up with the best excuse that he can. Oh, I was just looking for a shirt.
Right. Which good job, Loudon. That really sold it. I thought this movie was charming. I thought it was a good time.
This is a fun film that, and I will be serious, like, I don't think you necessarily know all the outcomes. At least I didn't. It's building up to a point and you can go kind of like American stylized film with the hero that's got to rise above the challenges,
Yeah.
Or you could go with some of the pitfalls that it is to be a young man at that age and having to overcome failure and learn from your failures. And, as you're going through life, nothing ever suggests that Loudon knows anything more than anyone else. He's a very wholesome, innocent guy that has certain goals that he wants to accomplish.
He's a very self-assured young man.
Yeah, yes,
but not in a way that's like overly cocky.
I thought innocent really every time he came on screen. I mean, I was like, or every time he would talk about something, he never had like I have a means to an end here. Like, yeah. I'm gonna write about the the clit and it's to try to get some pussy, or I'm gonna tell her about my wet dream so that she'll get laid. Like, everything's kind of always played out where he's just like very like, hey, like I don't have any problem talking about this stuff.
He feels like an honest kid.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying, and he doesn't know any better either. It's not like he's thinking about the game being played and how to win it and how to get this and that. Like, a lot of the conversation that he's having is really just being, a teenager and kind of going through some of life's changes and want to talk about it with someone.
I think one of my favorite aspects of this movie is the way that it is structured, with the constant through line of him.
We should also say spoilers for Vision Quest. I don't know if we said that or not. Typically we do. But.
We'll just throw it out there. Because you always have the constant through line of him losing this weight because he's trying to get down to 168, and he wants to face shoot so that he can beat the best. So he's going through all this regimen. He's like working out as the movie goes along wherever he can, but in doing so, it also introduces a lot of other points in his life that are touched on through this lens. And I like that while he's constantly working towards his goal, he's also touching on other aspects of his life, like Carla and Cooch and the teacher, his English teacher, and like all these different avenues. Elmo, like these people in his life that like are seeing him do this, and through these interactions, you get like a good sense of like, oh, like there's already pre-established relationships here. He's already got like a repertoire with these people, a relationship, and I like the way that it does it in that like the main through line is always constant. It never feels like it deviates it for the purpose of, oh, we're gonna focus on this now, or he's distracted. Like this is now like a huge point of conflict for him.
Right.
Like this very much feels like a natural sort of like, yeah, he's always got his mind on this thing, and that's how devoted he is to it. But also, it's like, yeah, you get a good sense of like who he is in these other different avenues as well.
Yeah, I really like this thing.
It's good.
It felt like he's on a path, right? If you're going from point A to point B, and instead of going, taking the fork in the road to work back to everything just felt like he'd go off the path in the woods and then come back onto the path. Like, I want to go out and check this out, and then walk over there and go, oh, cool, and then come right back. Nothing. It always felt like his goal of what he was going to set out to accomplish was always his first priority. And then you'd have these small quibbles that would come in and maybe distract him or make him want to deter from his path or deter from his path, and it was always like these small instances of what do you want to say, conflict that would pop up, but it was very natural to where he was at in life.
And the thing about it too is that these conflicts, most of the time, they stemmed from his own perception of the situation.
Yes.
Like, it never felt like there was, I mean, maybe other than Shoot, who never really fucks with him in the movie. Like, he's never someone who like comes in and like sabotages him or anything.
No. It's all laid out with hey, he's from the town over and he has won state 3 years in a row, hasn't lost a match.
Right, he's like this fucking muscle bound, corn fed boy.
Yeah, he's just
like representative of like the end goal of the film.
Yeah,
but it's never to the point where like, oh yeah, now I've got to deal with this guy or I've got to deal with this thing.
Yeah.
Like, all of the conflict stems from like his own perception of things and like the way that his own determination kind of gets in his way. So like, you have the conflict with his perception of Carla and his English teacher's relationship.
Yep.
And also the conflict of, I keep getting these nosebleeds, I'm becoming anemic, I'm not eating enough, I'm exercising too much, I'm wearing myself thin to meet this goal.
Yep.
But that's all just because of his own determination and how it just comes back to him as a character.
Yeah.
I think that's really, it doesn't distract itself while also not being like too enamored with one specific thing, it felt like.
Yeah.
Like, I think it struck that balance really well.
Oh, yes. Agreed. And it really felt like you were in the life with Loudon, right? Like, it really felt like
absolutely.
You're going through all these challenges with him, but nothing ever felt cinematic to the point where it was like extreme. Like, we're gonna have, he has to overcome this little side quest, and it's gonna get to a point where you just don't know if he'll get over it. Like you're saying, like, he had his goal, and like most goals, you're gonna come up with challenges that you have to overcome, and it doesn't matter whether it's big or small. Like, you're gonna have to find the grit and determination, the gumption, if you will, to overcome some of that stuff and to set it aside. And that's why I really like how this thing gets to that point of the end. And the monologue with Elmo felt so perfect to encompass, like, Elmo kind of goes off the sing on, Pele, and to see him do this thing that, only God could give one man to do. And if it's a matter of moments that it could unite people, if that's not beautiful, I don't know what is, right? Mm-hmm. And really, the way I took it is Elmo is looking at Loudon going, dude, you push so hard and everyone has respected your journey to this point. It'd be abysmal for us to say, well, he's going to do it or he won't do it. Whether you succeed or fail, it's a point that you've gotten to this point,
right,
that we need to witness, and it was very touching.
Like, the relationships you've built throughout this movie have driven us to a point where everyone is just interested in what the outcome of this is for you.
Yes.
Like, we care about you enough to where we're going to go out of our way to see this through for you, because we
sacrifice pay tonight and get a haircut and get a nice suit on. I might even eat out at the town diner.
Hey, I'm doing more work than you are.
Yeah.
We see how much work you're putting into this goal, and we're all going to be there for you and see this through, because like, you're lifting all of us up when we see you achieve this like inhuman feat of athleticism.
Yes.
That's sort of like what the Pele speech is all about.
Kind of, yes, I did pour a little bit more into it, because it's not necessarily just a feat of athleticism with what he's done.
It's like the fact that he's being like, Pele's lifting up other people to his level while being able to do that. I can read the quote.
I think what he was saying was Pele doing what he did united everyone watching, and to see something that beautiful, we could all forget about like our differences,
right,
for all of, if it's only 5 seconds.
I'm gonna find an excerpt of the speech here,
yeah,
where he says, That's right. I start crying because another human being, a species that I happen to belong to, could kick a ball and lift himself and the rest of us sad-ass human beings up to a better place to be, if only for a minute.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's that beautiful. But I guess what I'm saying for him, it's not what he's doing. Yes, it will be on a wrestling mat, but because of everything he's poured in to get to that moment, that's not all just athletics. Like, he's got to overcome the thing that happened with Carla and Tanaran. He's got to overcome that he's two of his friends he's had to push out of the way to overtake him in the weight class when he could have easily wrestled at 190. He's got to deal with his body falling apart as he's pushing the limits of what he's able to get to. It's like all stuff you could do, like, a monk could do that. I mean, that's why they go, they don't eat for months at a time, just mind over matter, and that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to just be an athletic performance. I mean, within the context and what's been framed with the movie,
for sure,
you get to that point. But I just took it as more so of everyone respecting
the dedication and like the time spent, and that's sort of what I was trying to get at too. Like, I hope I wasn't just implying that it was purely the athletic ability.
That's what I was trying to. Yes, that's what I was just making sure.
Okay. Let's talk about the performances in this.
Great.
Matthew Modine.
Great.
Fucking
great.
I've never seen Full Metal Jacket. I know that's the other kind of big thing that he's in, right?
Yeah, that's a Kubrick one.
Right.
It's not bad.
He seems like someone who, has like a very good kind of run of films that I still need to check out. So,
I don't know.
No?
He's got this. He's got... So... And I got a blind spot to Modine, okay? But I know he's got this and Full Metal Jacket, and like those are the two I really know him from. And it wasn't until The Dark Knight Rises I was like, dude, that's Matthew Modine. Like, I don't think I've seen him or been heard of him being in something else. And then since then, he's kind of popped up. Like, he was in Stranger Things, I believe, for a little bit. Like, when that got its, not resurgence, but when it was coming up. He's a very fine actor. He's
very good in this movie at playing like kind of wide-eyed, sort of curious, well-meaning boy.
Yeah.
Who just likes to meet his goal in whatever way he can.
Dude, he's so like non-assuming.
Very non-assuming.
That's what I love. Like, everything he walks in, he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" "Oh, cool. Yeah, that's right on. All right. Hey, I'll see you later."
He's kind of like a little kid who like just walks in the room and goes like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah, that's what. Like, the thing at the very beginning.
Oh, that's
of the
neat.
film.
I like your painting.
He walks into that room with that guy doing like his yoga exercises, and I was like, "It's so fun." So it starts out, I'm like, "Creep alert," and then all of a sudden it turns into a very like, "Yeah, it's just yoga. You're doing this and that," and he's like, "Cool. Could you show me?" And I was like, this is gonna be like a really like wholesome moment, and they're gonna go through and he's gonna show him kind of the ways of conquering some of the mind over matter and pouring it, and then all of a sudden he throws his hand on his hip. I was like, "Well, that's not right." And then, "Whoa, hey, mister." It's like, get the fuck out of here.
He referred to it as he tried to grab my wad.
Yeah,
I think he said to his friend later.
Cooch.
He's telling Cooch later. That scene was one of the few scenes where I was like, why? What was the purpose of this?
I think this movie's it felt progressive of the time, and I don't know the 80s that well, but some of like that you're bringing in some Eastern philosophy into there, and then he does end up kind of doing that on the wrestling mat towards the end of it. And
interesting.
And some of the sex education stuff that's going on, like, I don't really feel like classrooms were talking about that stuff or raising those concerns,
right? Which is part of why, like, when they publish the story in the paper, they get punished for it, right?
Yeah. And some of the homophobic nature of what was going on in the hotel room, like, that might not have really been delved into or talked about, or things like that happening, or just a relationship with Carla, who's 21. That's. You're not dealing with someone in the class like the chick in the paper. He's over her. Like, you don't pique my intellectual curiosity whatsoever.
Right.
And so I feel like some of the stuff that they were trying to make him a little bit more profound too, from where he's at in life and what's going on with the events around him, to bring a little bit more of a, say it again, profound nature to kind of what he's what he's thinking about, what he's diving into. There's a little bit of a philosophical approach with this.
I hesitate to use the word kind of like simple, because he's not simple. He's a very smart kid, but he's someone who maybe is like not very materialistic, doesn't really have a lot of possessions. You see his room; it's very bare.
He's very minimalistic.
Very minimalistic, but to the point where it's like, yeah, I only worry about like the essentials of life and like the things I absolutely need.
That's the I would say that's where it kind of with some people comes off with the unassuming curiosity, minimalistic, appearance, right? So he comes in, he's wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, wants to know what you're doing. Right, he'll soak it all in. He'll say, "All right, thanks. Hey, it was nice meeting you." He'll walk away. He's gonna ponder over what you talked about, and then he's gonna go home to his bare ass room, and all he needs is really his thoughts. And some people look at that and go, "Yeah, that guy's an idiot," But really, I mean,
or he's insane.
Yeah, like no, he knows what he wants, and he knows what he's seeking, and exactly what he needs to get there. And it's not more, not less, and. It's not like he's ashamed of where he's at in life with his dad. Mom ran away.
He's got a great relationship with his dad. His dad was super chill the whole movie.
Yeah, right? Except what you go, I've never hit a man. What did he say? He's like, I've only punched one other person in my life.
Right, and it's like, oh, you can assume a lot about this guy just based on that sentence alone. His dad also seems like very well-meaning, but also in a place where like, yeah, he's just kind of comfortable with life. It's okay if he doesn't have a job right now. He'll get a new one. Like he's not like panicking about financial situations or like, see,
the dad
hanging his head on the fact that like his wife left him or whatever. He's like, hey, that's just what I'm just saying what happened.
He's not ashamed of it, not proud of it. It's what it is.
It's what it is. And like his dad has that sort of attitude the whole time. It's like cool. Like he's an understanding dad who like has been through it already.
Yeah, and it makes it more believable when, because I'm like, that's fucking weird. Let's have a stranger come in, especially a female, come stay with us because we have an extra room. But because of their relationship and the character development, and the simple points with the dad of, I've never punched another person. Like, he's nonviolent. There's no aggression with what he's seeking after. His emotional state probably is relatively calm unless, something, maybe justice pops up and he needs to take action. So it'd make you seem that he's got, a good moral compass. And so that way when Carla's got to stay the night or she's got to live there, it's like, okay, like I feel like she's safe. Like I don't think anything bad's going to happen given the elements that we've received of the characters. You know?
Absolutely. So yeah, this is a pretty solid coming of age film. Yeah, the only other things that I can really like think is a huge talking point is the title. So Vision Quest, in reference to the idea of with Native American tribes, they sort of have this idea of a vision quest where there's sort of this thing that they're goal oriented towards. That's almost, it feels like a sort of destiny sort of thing, right? Is I think the best way I can put it, unless you have a better understanding of it than I do.
No, that's exact. I was not necessarily. It's almost unattainable. I would say it's something that's out there that you're, seeking through mind over matters. Essentially, like you're kind of getting to the fifth dimension,
right? Which it's also the title of the book that this movie's based on.
Yeah.
So it's understandable why it's titled that. We mentioned at the top that the United Kingdom and Australia have this titled Crazy for You, because in this movie there's a scene where he goes to the bar and he runs into Carla and his English teacher there, and performing on stage in the bar just happens to be Madonna.
Yes.
And she sings two songs in that movie, one of them called The Gambler, the other one, her hit song Crazy for You, which maybe only plays 6 or 7 times throughout this movie.
That's
sometimes back to back.
Yeah, okay. So I had to look because we talked a little bit about this. This thing cost $2,651,000. No. Sorry. That's what it. Okay. That's what it gross opening weekend.
Okay.
$12 million, almost $13 million worldwide.
That's what I'm seeing. Yeah.
I don't know how much it costs, but I feel like Madonna coming into the scene I don't know how much they'd be able to pay for her, so there's a little bit of the offset.
Right. I wasn't able to find any information
On that. I'm not. I mean, it's the same thing with Sony. It's all speculation.
Right.
You know.
The only thing I could find is that it was titled that in those countries to promote Madonna and her music.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
And the fact that she's in this movie.
Yeah. Well, so that's the. There's twofold then.
Yes.
One, it's we didn't have enough to pay Madonna, so she gets her song played.
She gets exposure.
Yeah. Right. Or the second one is we don't know how well this is going to do. Madonna's in it. Let's fucking sell the shit out of her.
Right. Exactly.
You know? And then you get your
like if we want people to go see this, like hey, Madonna's in here.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
So there's kind of like I guess that's kind of the one or the other. I love the title of this thing.
Vision Quest?
Oh yeah,
it's a good title.
I love the title of this thing. I mean, it's based on the book. The book's called the same. I mean, it very apropos. You know,
very apropos.
It doesn't feel like anything that it's any misleading or they're trying to be too clever.
No, not at all. I don't know if I mentioned this specifically, but to kind of go back to the idea of like the structure of this movie, it does a really good job of building up to that final wrestling match.
So
I think it's like one of the most effective parts of this movie, and I also think that the match itself meets the expectations that the whole movie sets for you.
Oh God, yes.
It's this is a thing to sort of behold, and I really like the way they filmed it, especially with the use of slow motion, and it just reaffirms my belief that anytime they use low frame rate slow motion in movies, it's cheap as fuck, and I hate it every time because you've got this movie in 1985 that managed to use slow motion the right way.
Yeah, it's right. Like you're watching that thing, and it's slow motion for a good minute and a half.
Probably like at least a minute.
Yeah, and it's very effective, and your heart's it's pounding the whole time. I mean, I don't know where you were at. I didn't know if he was going to win or not.
I had a good feeling he was going to win, especially with like all the build up and like everybody there and like the fact that this movie is in the 80s. It's a little cheesy that way.
I will say once I got into the slow motion, I knew it was coming.
Sure. But
leading up to that,
there was like a small part of me that was thinking, what if he doesn't win?
Yeah.
Like what's the sort of lesson he takes from this?
That's making you think. You're watching that and you're actually in your head going, if he loses, what are we going to learn as an audience? What will he learn?
And what will the characters around him do?
Will they respect him? Was it all for naught?
Right. It's like, who's going to be there for him if he does not make it through this?
Yes.
Like, and a smaller part of me was like, what if he dies at the end of this movie? What if Shoot actually kills him?
Nihilistic Kyle's got to pop in.
He's always there.
Yeah,
he's always present. I'm just gonna let you know that right now.
He'll just pop up on my shoulder, and sometimes I can think of how I can make the movie better.
Right, and instead of an angel
John
and a
Wick
devil,
comes in and
it's
just,
nihilism.
Yeah, exactly. They're both saying the same shit. What's it really matter?
John Wick comes in, fucking wrestles Shoot to the ground, and pops him in the head.
Dude, so yes, the ending of this thing, I thought this is like this is one of the better endings to a film I've seen in quite some time.
It's good.
Like a really long time where everything and I don't always like when they bow tie everything together, but this felt I was expecting a denouement after this where it's like Carla comes out or like, the coach comes in or Shoot comes up.
Right. No, there's like some bow that's put on the end of this.
Yeah. Or, like you guys might have a little questions about this and that. Like it literally ends with like, hey, like, I can't wait. You said it was opening to the show, right?
Yeah. It was. Let me see if I can find the exact quote because the version I have is the one that's
watered down a little bit.
I don't know about watered down. But all I ever settled for is that we're born to live and then to die, and we got to do it alone, each in his own way. And I guess that's why we got to love those people who deserve it like there's no tomorrow. Because when you get right down to it, there isn't.
Yeah. And like it's the relationships that he builds throughout this thing, really get to that point of the match, and everyone's there to support him in the match.
Absolutely. And then, this movie's about like the people alongside him.
Yes, that's what. Oh, yes. Yes. And that's why, to end it with a quote and like a still frame, not always the greatest, right? But it's that where it's not like, hey, the journey's over with, or hey, we're going to tie this up. It's, hey, appreciate what you got. I just showed you. And it's not like he was selfish the whole time, but he was showing how you can be determined and have a goal in life and have people rise up next to you.
Yeah.
Right. And then to cap it off with, you just need to do it because you never know when your time will kick in. And
Absolutely.
It was, yes. I thought it was a great ending. And I usually book endings like suck. And I don't know if they pulled it straight from the page or what, but they did. I thought it was a great job.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the difference between the source material and this would be. I thought about looking into it, but I didn't have time. There's some things that I have a little bit of.
It's an 80s film, man.
Oh, it's definitely an 80s film, which is not exactly a knock against it. Like I like kind of time capsule movies like this. The one major thing for me is a lot of this music is repetitive.
Oh God!
In this film, like the fact that they play "Crazy for You" as many times as they do is crazy.
They did it. I think it was like when they're about to bone out in the woods. Like they hit it at the campfire, and then they get into the tent. They hit it again. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, they do it like almost back to back.
It was
which is absurd.
Yes, it is very absurd. Like this song just comes in for no reason at points. That's at times distracting.
It's quite distracting. And Tangerine Dream does the normal like kind of original score for this movie, which I really like. Tangerine Dream.
I loved it. It was a little synth-wavy, right?
Yeah, they've done a lot of like Michael Mann movies.
Yes.
Thief being like the most notable.
That's where we saw him at. Okay.
But there's so much licensed music in this that you almost forget that they did a lot of the original music in this anyway, because there's not that much of it. It's a lot of licensed songs where like they just kind of kick in and they're all right. They kind of feel like they belong, but they're sort of.
The only one I disagree about is Lunatic Fringe.
Which one was that?
Lunatic Fringe. I know you're out there.
Yes, that's cool. What
you don't
scene
know
was
that?
What scene was that
God,
in?
Dude, you're so young.
I'm such a baby,
dude.
I'm sorry. I'm almost 30. By the way.
He is.
I'll be 30 by the time this episode drops. Maybe
close to it, right?
No, I will still be 29. I'll have 2 days left of being 29.
Have a little birthday shout out for at the end of it for yourself,
for
the
myself,
audience.
Yeah, along with Gideon
for them
and Lauren.
To say, get them in here, and then you got or maybe they could hop on here and say it for you.
Yeah, I'll get like a voicemail recording of each of them saying happy birthday.
So right before he's about to wrestle Shu, they played Lunatic Fringe a couple times. Every time he's like training and he's doing the jump rope.
Okay.
It's a very I don't know exactly how to, and I had the song on my on Napster on iTunes when I was like 12. I have no idea what the fucking song's about. But it gives like kind of him getting into his mental space, and it's funny because like I hear the song and every time too I'm like, I don't know if he's the lunatic in this and he's like in his own head he's out there like I've been so determined, but at some point I got to click it on. Or if it's talking about Shoot and he's got to hunt down Shoot because Shoot's a lunatic and he's out there lurking and he's got to go find him, So it's whether it's the prey or the predator in this. I just really like when he starts working out and that thing kicks on because he's hitting a different headspace and you got to, and so that's the only one I disagree with. Outside of that, I mean some of the songs in this are just they're thrown in here and it. Crazy for You when it popped down with the slow dance with Carla, I enjoyed. And if that was the only time it happened, I would be fine with it.
Right. If that was like the one time it was playing during the movie, I wouldn't have as much of an issue. But that's kind of early on, and I think it's one of the first times they play it.
It's the very first time. It's the first time. They show Madonna, and she's singing Gambler, and I was like, oh, that's Madonna. Mm-hmm. And then I don't think Gambler's her song, though.
It says it on...
does it?
Yeah, on... Wikipedia. She performs the song Gambler. Okay. So it might not be her song.
That's what I'm because I was on
Gambler is a song by American singer Madonna.
So I was on Spotify because I heard Crazy for You and I was like, all right. I wanted to see the soundtrack to this thing because I was like Tangerine Dream. You got Lunatic Fringe popping on. I was like, this Crazy for You is pretty. It's hitting right now. And the Gambler wasn't on the Spotify soundtrack. At least it was performed by someone else. And I was like, maybe that wasn't Madonna.
I'm wondering if like it was one of the songs she was singing in the middle of when he shows up.
Like, I have no idea. It said Gambler and it was by someone else. And I was thinking like, it's weird. Was that because I questioned if it was Madonna because I didn't. Everyone I saw in this thing, I was like, I'm going to wait till the end before I start looking up because I'm invested and I don't want to be on my phone. Mm-hmm. So I saw Madonna, I go, that's Madonna. And then I hopped on Spotify because I wanted to like the Crazy For You song. And I'm like, Gambler popped up and it was performed by someone else. I'm like, maybe that wasn't Madonna. And then I let it go. So, because Linda Fiorentino, I believe is how it's pronounced. She was in Men in Black, and her face was some like I recognized her, and I was like, I cannot pinpoint what she's in.
Let me look at her because I'm on Letterboxd right now, and I can see the movie she's been in.
It's not much. Not much.
Yeah, I don't think there was a ton. Dogma, I think, was the other big one.
Yeah,
the Kevin Smith movie.
Yeah.
After Hours, she's in. Jade, that fucking William Friedkin movie. And yeah, it's after that, it's just a bunch of kind of nonsense. So
and she was all right in this.
Yeah, she was okay. She was sort of playing that kind of like, oh, I'm like kind of mysterious, but I'm also just like confident young woman. And that, she was good.
Yeah. I mean, she didn't really do much outside of, outside of that. Not to say it was bad. It's just she didn't really have much like anything behind her.
There wasn't much in the way of like characterization for her other than like, I want to become an artist. And also I'm like kind of hard to read.
I'm a stray cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm independent, and that's kind of all you need to know. Cool. Was there anything else we wanted to talk about?
Yeah, fuck. How can you not talk about it? Shoot. How did the whole build up? Nothing.
I liked his introduction quite a bit.
When he's going up those, hey, I got a bad feeling about this, man. Are you sure you want to do this? Like, hey, we're already here. I might as well say something. Mm-hmm. And he's fucking walking up. He's got a log on his back going up stadium steps, and it's not even like it.
It's not even like a drill that he's doing from his coach. He's just there by himself.
Well, yes, but like I appreciate it so much. Like, sometimes like when the bad guys run it, like in The Sandlot, they get in there and it's like, hey, turd licker, and it's like it sets all this thing up. He's literally just walking up doing his shit. He goes, hey, you Loudon Swain? So yeah. So I heard you're going to get down to 168. Yeah, I'm trying to. You think you're gonna? I hope so. Yeah, me too. Just back down the steps.
It's like one of the coolest introductions. And yes. I was kind of hoping that they would maintain that energy because the way they talk about Shoot in this movie is very like...
He's mythological.
It's like, yeah, this guy, like, he bit this guy's throat out. They have to, like, keep him from, like, attacking his opponents in the stadium, blah, blah, blah. And it's like... Oh yeah, I hope I see you there. And it's like I kind of wish that was the energy the whole time, where it's like the perception of this guy is like so heightened to the point of being cartoonish, and then like every interaction after that would have been like, oh hey, there you are. Am I going to see you there? Like it's just like this very straightforward thing.
I only needed the only thing I wish they did, and I really don't even think they needed it. That could have been the only interaction I needed to see.
Same. Absolutely
that
the same.
Confidence that someone displays as they're fucking practicing to say, you're just another maggot on the food chain. Hey, man, you think you're going to take me down? Good luck. Good luck. I'll see you in the ring.
Like,
and
you don't...
just, like, walk. Like, he's got no time of day besides just saying, hey, good luck. I'm looking forward to the competition.
Yeah.
And just back on, like, see ya.
You don't need the other scenes of Shoot being intimidating towards Loudon.
I think there's only one other one, like where they're talking.
Yeah, like it's like him outside the bathroom after he has like a nosebleed.
Yeah. Oh, you're bleeding too, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
And-
don't get in the ring with me. I'll make you bleed.
Right. It's like he's kind of being like vaguely threatening, and like it gets a little bit more heightened as the movie goes
Yes.
along, like up to the point where like the final weigh-in comes in. But it's like, yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, you don't really need to see Shu up until like when they meet each other on the mat.
They literally they're building it up. That's what I love about this thing too, because it opens up with like, I'm gonna take down Shu, and then all of a sudden people are talking about it. Right, that's the first thing that they do in the ring is start talking about you're gonna take down Shu. They've already built him up to be this presence, omnipresence, whatever you want to say, like this godlike person. Right, that everyone knows and is talking about and has their own stories.
Right, this guy's
on.
like the king shit.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, you can't. We're gonna take down John Wick. Like that's what he's saying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And then John Wick has a similar cadence of like, yeah,
yeah. Good luck. I'll see you at the opera. You know,
be seeing you.
Yeah.
It's just that simple.
and fucking, and that amount of and then they run in that. It's so good. It's so good. And then I was fine with like the weigh-in stuff, like when he shows up, and it's just like he's just staring him down because like the dude is physically menacing at 168 pounds. Like that, like that's like 1% body fat. Like, and honestly, I think if they would have fought like in real life,
Shu would destroy Matthew Modine.
Well, okay, thanks. That's all I was saying. I was like, man,
no offense to Matthew Modine, just
like I know you got the leverage.
Matthew's good. He's in good shape in this movie, but he's not.
Yeah, that dude looked like little Mike Tyson.
He's not hauling up a log up a stadium in that good of a shape.
Yeah, but it does play into like, and that's what I really like too. With some of it is even at any point in the day, a dog in the fight's got a chance, and Matthew Modine. I think a little bit more of the mentality, the spirituality, everything that kind of plays into winning a match just outside of the physical features is what was building him up to. It's this growth as a person that helped him win that, and it's like you've learned so much about yourself and you're going through so much and you're building your own confidence right now. Like that guy in the mat isn't Shu, it's just another kid that you're wrestling. And but dude, that build up, like it really, if they don't nail that build up, that last match is kind of like
it could have been like an easy fumble, and this movie could be in the annals of mediocrity.
Yeah, exactly. Like everything that could have happened. I mean, it really does. I mean, it's the through line and the messages around it. But if they get to that point and you don't really believe, if you don't believe Modine, which they do a great job, contrasting the two people side by side, to even think like in your head, like, all right, like even if he does win, I mean, I'll give it to him. You know, like there are times when you watch movies and you're like, there's no fucking way. Like I don't care who you are.
Right. This movie did a good job of like, this is tense and interesting enough to be believable.
Yes.
Two satisfying through lines, payoffs that are in this movie that we haven't mentioned yet. One of them being Otto, I think his name is, the character who's like kind of antagonistic towards him.
Yeah.
Where they're on the same team, but he's
Let's see where you're going with this, because
where he's like trying to climb up the pegs.
Yes.
And he fails, and then Matthew Modine's like, he's talking to him. He's like, hey, just so you know, when you're on the mat, you're not really a team. When it's you and the other guy, it's just you. And then he like goes and runs up and he like just effortlessly climbs up the fucking peg station.
Who's the guy rooting for him?
It's Otto.
That's what I'm saying. Like I was
like the turnaround on him as a character was like, oh, even he's rooting for him now. Like that's kind of cool. I like that.
Dude, it is, but that shit happens. Like there is like he's pissed off at Modine for trying to take a spot. And the last thing you want to do is know that someone's better than you and you're gifted this spot because of where you're at and as far as you can go as a human, that's it, right? And to see someone else be like, nah, I'm going to come down and snatch it, like it'd be so aggravating. But at the same time, like you said, he sees what Modine's doing. And it's like you just can't help but respect him to see it coming out. And just a physical feature like that of him climbing that, knowing that he couldn't, right? And to see him do it, be like, dude, you got me. Like, all right. And,
Yeah, I like the way that was presented to us. I also like how throughout the first probably like 45 minutes of this movie, Cooch as a character is presented as, oh yeah, I'm half Native American, and I had this vision quest where you told me that you were gonna beat Shoot in this match or whatever.
You're on a vision quest that everywhere spirit
you're
told
on a
me
vision quest, yes.
that you're on that, like, you have to, yeah.
And I had the thought of watching it going, is the guy who plays Cooch actually half Native American? And can they like get away with doing this? Like, obviously it's the 80s, they got away with a lot, but like has this
they did an Indian run in the film,
right? And has this like aged pretty poorly? And then the movie later answers the question of like, you know, man, I'm not even Native American.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, the character himself is a fraud.
Yeah, he doesn't have an identity, and his dad beats the shit out of him.
Right. It's like, okay, I should give this movie more credit for subverting that expectation.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
props to that. That was a good payoff, and then the auto thing was also a good payoff.
Yes.
Was there anything else? I know, maybe there's like a little bit more you've retained with this movie than I have.
Dude, well, maybe, I don't know. I loved it. I mean, I've never seen it. There's one of Sam owns it. Sam's got it on DVD.
Was it Sam who told you about this movie?
Like I've known about this since high school. Like, this was like a movie Sam saw when he was, junior, senior year, I want to say.
This feels like a PMC.
Oh yeah, and I had watched, like, we talked about Shoot a little bit because I had seen very small excerpts of this thing, like bits and pieces, maybe totaling 3 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. And I had a very, I've been wanting, I shouldn't say wanting to see it, but this has been on my watch list for the last, probably 18 years. So I've known the whole thing. I knew about the Shoot thing, and I've seen, like, people post on, X, the, picture of Shoot and make like a reference, like, you don't know what's about, whatever, and pulling him in as this, mythological character. And, yeah, I right up my alley. So,
yeah, this is definitely a Mac movie for sure.
To say that, I'll say PMC, because without Sam, I don't know. I probably would have heard of it. I know that it's been referenced enough for me to constantly go back to, like, all right, maybe I should watch it. But yeah, to talk about, yeah, there's a bunch of things, and there's probably a bunch of other analogies or speculation that you can make. But for how long was it? Hour 40. I mean, like, I think we've talked a good amount.
Yeah, I think so. Hour 45.
Yeah, like, it went by.
If my memory serves right.
Went by quick.
Yeah, it was good. Good pace. Good structure. Cool. I guess we can get into ratings for Vision Quest. So I was initially thinking 7 out of 10 for this.
Ooh.
But this movie has a lot going for it that you don't necessarily think of on the surface. It's one of those where, like, the further you dig into it, I think the more you can find to appreciate about it. The character relationships, the performances, the very simple yet effective storytelling methods that this movie goes through, the really good structure of this, and the very satisfying payoffs. This is a solid 8 out of 10 for me.
Nice.
So that's where I'm at with this film. Vision Quest / Crazy for You.
Yeah.
In the United Kingdom and Australia.
Yeah, no, I thought this is a very solid point A to point B film that's got a lot going on. And I don't want to say a lot. You can
say that there's a decent amount going on.
I was about to say, between the relationships of the characters and what Loudon's going through on a day-to-day basis, and generally just respect for what he's doing. I mean, it's weird too to think about a film where you're like, man, I really respect what he's trying to accomplish here, you as an audience member also fall in line with all these other characters that are rooting him on, whether they're somewhat adversarial, or whether they're friends or family that just generally want to see him do well, or people that come into his life. The whole the Shoot element, just absolutely love. It's been a while since I've seen a movie that can build up the antagonist of the film as well as this thing did, and then to have a rewarding payoff at the end. Like, I feel like if they did anything at the end of this besides that still frame, like, I almost feel like Shoot would walk up and shake his hand and go, good match. Like, and that's what I love about, some of the competition in sports. But I mean, like, people getting on general journeys too, and just people being able to appreciate what they've gone through and what they're going through, you know. And so this is like a high 9 out of 10 for me. Probably, I mean, if upon rewatch, I'll see how much enjoyment I get the second time. But I mean, to get to a point where I don't even know if he's going to win the match and have it still feel rewarding if he were to lose.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That it takes you got to have a well-written movie to do that. And it's a fun story. And at the end of the day, we want to see a fun story. So 9 out of 10.
Cool. Well, speaking of fun story, I got a fun story for you. It's the story about how it's my turn to not only recommend a movie, but also assign a movie to you to watch. And I'm kind of basing both of my choices as a pairing. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking this could be something that we could do together. So I'm not just making you watch this movie alone. This is going to be something that we're both going to journey through. I was going to watch this movie anyway, but now that you lost the bet, I feel like a sort of punishment is in order. But I'm going to give you my recommendation first.
Okay.
So this is going to be the one that I think you'll like. So this is on my watch list. It's been on my watch list for a while. It is from an auteur director whose films I have seen an okay amount of.
Okay.
1997, stars Mark Wahlberg.
Perfect Storm?
Nope.
Mark Wahlberg. Fear?
No. Mark Wahlberg, Burt Reynolds, Julianne Moore.
Oh, Boogie Nights.
I'm recommending Boogie Nights.
Hell yeah.
So we're going to watch that. We're going to talk about that. That's the official recommendation. Now, the movie I'm going to pair it with as part of the bet to assign to you that I will also watch.
Okay.
It's of the same ilk. Let me look up some information about this.
Showgirls?
No. Let me just type this in here real quick. There it is. Came out in 2011.
2011.
Yep. Directed by a man named Tom Brady. It is not the football player. This is what the guy looks like.
Hey, okay. So we're at 2011 porn movie.
And thankfully, this one is 97 minutes long, whereas, you know, I think Boogie Nights said it was 157 minutes or
Boogie Nights great.
56. I'm excited to watch that one.
Yeah, Boogie Nights should be an exciting one.
But this one is more of a straight comedy. It is also about an adult film star.
Dickie Roberts?
Nope. It's kind of like that sort of title. Very similar.
Oh, Tom Brady directed a shitty movie about...
It stars Nick Swartzen.
Yeah, that's the one. It's, oh, shit.
It's right there.
Oh, it is too. Oh, fuck. That's going to be our first comedy that we talk about, if it's funny. Oh, God, what's it called? He's a, you got to tell me. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Bucky Larson. Born to be a Star. Yeah. That is my film that I'm assigning to you that I will also watch, that we will talk about in conjunction with Boogie Nights. Boy, it's a real angel and devil on your shoulder situation, isn't it?
Well,
I figured, how fitting would it be if my recommendation was a movie that I know Mac either probably likes or is looking forward to seeing if he hasn't seen it already.
Yeah.
Boogie Nights, one that I know.
Oh, dude, I've seen Boogie Nights. I own it.
Well, there we go. Yeah. Now we know where that movie stands with you in relation to a movie that I think you have expressed disdain for in the past.
No, I've never, because I would never bring that movie is like Jack and Jill. Like there are movies that I just don't even.
You've never seen Bucky Larson,
dude. I've seen the trailer for it. And fucking Nick Swartzen was a cup of coffee.
That's all I need to see.
I hate to bash the guy because I think he's like an alcoholic now. Like,
sure,
I'm serious. Like he's.
I think you're right.
You know what I'm
he's
saying?
Got
like,
some problems.
Yeah, like I don't know if he's come out publicly or like, but he popped. Dude,
I think he like checked into rehab or something.
He's done a couple different things, but he was on a podcast like severely overweight and started talking about all the criticism that he was getting for shit. and he brought up like why he drinks and stuff like that, but totally it wasn't like we're gonna hop into my backstory or why I'm doing this. It was more so of him just like, yeah, man, fuck those people, you know, sometimes you get into them out.
Oh god, it was like a Bam Margera situation.
Kind of like a very uncomfortable hey, you know, this is like essentially like I'm not saying I drink a lot and this is why, but like saying I drink a lot and this is why. And it's funny because like he was talking about that, and I've never liked Nick Swartzen. Like he's a Sandler tried getting him going at some point. He fit in like that criteria of Jack and Jill click.
He
like
tried to make him like, oh, he's gonna be like bit character actor in my movie that always pops up.
Yeah, and like
in Grown Ups and Click and like all this shit. Jack and Jill.
Yes, and just never panned. No offense to him. Like I hate to just dog the guy. He just wasn't my cup of tea. Never liked him. And I saw that and I thought of that movie. I can never remember the goddamn title of it, but that was like his first feature, I think, where he was the lead in a comedy.
Right.
And he's got like these bucky teeth and he's supposed to be like Amish or something like that. And I'm pretty sure he tries to be a porn star. And I was like,
well, we can talk about it when we discuss it on
got like
the next
a 2-foot
episode.
schlong.
You know, there's a lot to dive into.
Oh, it's going to be great.
I'm excited to talk about both Boogie Nights, directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, and Bucky Larson, Born to Be a Star, directed by Tom Brady, not the former NFL player.
That's so...
So if you don't want to be spoiled...
So are those going to be the two films, or do we have to see a theater film, or are we just going to cap it at that?
I think let's just cap it at that.
Sure.
Because end of the year, it's going to be hard for us during the holidays
a good film besides Kraven to see in theaters.
Right, to find the time to go see it too. So I know for a fact that these two are streaming, so they'll be easily accessible.
Yeah.
And, thankfully, Bucky Larson's a solid 97 minutes, so it won't take too much energy to knock it out, hopefully. But who knows? Maybe it'll suck our souls real dry. Anyway... If you guys don't want to be spoiled for those two films, be sure to check them out before episode 87. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Neon Crew podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already, and give us some 5-star ratings on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Check out our social medias. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube community page as well. I'll be posting updates on what films we'll be discussing for upcoming episodes, as well as some memes if I feel like it. Depends on the day. Seasonal depression. Anyway, be sure to cop some merch from the Etsy page. You can find a link for that in the description along with everything else I just mentioned. Shout out to Gideon for doing the music, and shout out to Lauren for doing the artwork. You guys had birthdays recently. Congrats on one more year. Hopefully the AARP mail starts coming in real soon. McLean, is there anything else we need to say before we sign off?
WWTHD?
Bye, everybody.